You can actually turn this on the thing, so turn it towards your face.
Oh, I thought I did.
When are you going
turned
again?
back. There we go.
You were alive.
Never.
We're alive. Yeah, we're alive.
What?
Oh, hi.
Oh.
Hi.
Oh my God.
Saving throw.
That happened. While I was talking.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Hello.
This is the thing that is happening now.
Is the sound working? Are we all good?
You should probably be alright. I'm loud enough to be heard by all the mics.
Without a mic, even. He can be heard just in the people's houses.
Just go to your windows, you'll hear me.
He's like Kirk in Wrath of Khan.
I told this story before, but I went to a relatively small high school. It was like 400 students tops, and we had probably if you imagine 2 long hallways was the length of our building, and it had 20 classrooms in those 2 hallways. Then we had a lower level that had 4 more. And my friends in high school used to say that they didn't need to we didn't have cell phones then, but they could always find me because you could hear me in every room of the school. Literally every room. They would walk into the main doors of the school and just sort of follow my voice until I found the room I was. Everything going good on your side there, Sean Graham?
Everything's beautiful.
All right, Sean Graham is our chat captain today, which is not a job he is trained for.
We'll be into the chat.
And with any hope, we are up and running and everything is fine. We're all fine down here.
How are you?
How are you?
What's your operating code?
Well, it is a boring conversation.
That is one of my favorite tropes in sci-fi films, which is that you can basically disconnect or otherwise take care of any piece of electronics will do what you want it to if you shoot it with a laser.
Yeah.
If you shoot it with a laser, it'll turn on, it'll turn off, you get anything you want.
It'll open, it'll close, which makes no sense because if you shoot out the controls anyway.
Yeah, and people do it all. They're like, I shut the controls off on this side. It clearly has turned made the door into a piece of sheet metal essentially.
Yeah. Well, it is the future.
Yes.
Future technology can be turned on and off by destroying
But
it.
isn't Star Wars the past? Yeah.
Well, it's the past future.
It's the past future.
Dun dun dun.
Chad, can Chad hear me? Is that what we're learning? You know what?
One of them said yell louder, Sax.
That seems unfair. Well, my mic wasn't on, so to prove that we...
I was picking you up on someone else's mic.
that happens.
Yeah.
All someone else's.
That is perfect.
I'm in all of your headphones, literally. All right,
in
so...
your head.
We are, this is Saving Throw Show on, and this is the show Phoenix Dawn Command. This is episode 9, which Dom has entitled Ain't No Thing But a Buffalo Wing. Thank you, Dom, for that. But we are,
Nope.
This is a show, I will give you the brief on the world again, as I always do in case this is your first time watching. In Phoenix Dawn Command, all of our characters are phoenixes. They are super powerful creatures that used to be mortal, and then they died, and they came back better, and they actually only level up by dying. Every time they die, they come back stronger, because they go off to sort of an interdimensional space where they train and get better, called the Crucible, and they're reborn in the flames of the Imperial Pyre, and they come back to save the day. And they're facing the Dread, which is another terrible, evil, supernatural force, which is causing all kinds of undead problems all around the world. So all 4 of these characters used to be regular mortals, farm hands or whatever, or hunters in one case, and they all died, and they came back better, and now they are heroes bound together by being part of the same Phoenix Wing. It's more than that, but we'll talk about that in a second. We have 2 guest players with us today. So on top of our regular 2, let's meet our 2 guests. Just tell us who you are. Kate, you want to go first?
Oh, shoot. Hello. Hi, I'm Kate. Nice to meet you. I have a YouTube channel and I have Instagram, and I'm sure they'll be popping up all over the place. This is the first time I'm going to be playing this, so I'm going to be panicking. Hopefully I won't make an ass of myself, but we shall see.
And I'm Kelly, and I hope to make an ass of myself because I also am new at this game. I read the whole manual, but in one ear, out the other. Hi, Kelly. I'm a writer for Hasbro. I do fun stuff out here, musical improv, sparkles and glitter, happiness and joy. That's me.
Yay. And of course, Mac Beauvais and Michael Holmes are our regulars. So we're going to start off a little bit of what we covered last week, where the story so far is the 4 regular phoenixes of this wing were all resurrected around the same time. They all realized that their wing was somehow fated to do something great, but they didn't know what it was. They've been on a couple of missions where they have sort of specialized in a particular manifestation of the dread called the chant. The chant is sort of a terrible song that when you sing it, it drives you crazy and it makes you attack people, and either when they hear the song that you're singing, they sing along and they join the mob, or they don't sing along and you beat them to death. And so whole towns very quickly become infected by the chant, and eventually the chant sort of just burns out your body and you fall dead, and there's a lot of terrible manifestations that go on from there. And no one knows what caused the chant. No one knows how to stop the chant. This wing has, in several missions, gotten a better grasp of it than anyone else has, and they've become the sort of chant experts, if you will, amongst the wing. Also, during that time, the progressively more wolven Varia has been getting less and less capable of controlling her actions, and Ink, the Shrouded, or sort of information-driven phoenix, at one point spent some time in her head because he was an attendant spirit, and that has driven the two of them into sort of bumping up and against each other, and it's been sort of a wonderful, I don't know, like it's moonlighting or something, but with the two of them.
Moonlighting, yes. You're Bruce Willis.
And 2 adventures ago, while trapped in a cell, they sort of tried to have, or Ink sort of tried to have a moment where he explained what he thought was going wrong, which caused Varia to turn basically into full wolf and rip his face off, but they're okay. And then Varia then managed to get out of the cell, and then Varia sacrificed herself sort of slightly unnecessarily, which caused the marshals, who were the leaders of the wing, to take her sort of out of rotation in our last adventure. So in our last adventure, Varia was in the timeout corner, getting tested and grilled, and like one of those like bad Avengers things where there's like a guy in a suit was doing a lot of psychological experiments or whatever. And the wing was assigned another bidder at that time to see if it was the wing's fault.
Feral, man.
But Feral then took all the blame for whatever went wrong with that mission on herself, which makes the wing look good, and Varia was released from her sort of purgatory, and so we're going to see that little moment where Varia and Ink bump into each other for the first time after she's been let out of psychological jail, and then we're going to jump into today's adventure. So I hope that...
Goodness.
Yeah.
Get along for the ride.
All right, so...
Buckle in.
All that in only 9 episodes, huh?
Yeah, we do good work.
Damn.
And this is actually seasoned, if you believe it. There's a little paprika on this. No, we have seasons of this show, and we have a whole arc to get through for that season. So we have. I mean, at this point, you're rank 4, and you're rank 3. The regular devoted is rank 4, and I believe is Chan 3 or 4?
I think Chan's
3.
3.
So you're about halfway to the end of your cycle. So, because eventually at rank 7, you either retire or die. It's coming soon to NBC, retire or die.
Starring Dennis Leary.
Instead of that show about the Philippine Order male bride, which is no more.
Oh my gosh,
They
I read
pulled
about
it.
that yesterday,
Yeah, they pulled it.
I'm glad.
So retire or die.
Okay.
Oy vey.
All right, so let's have that little scene lit, and then we'll meet everybody else here. So you and Eerie are the only two. Because
Idalia died.
Yeah. So you and Eerie are getting escorted off the boat. The Windiri ship has dropped you off on Pyre, which is the island where the Imperial Flame is, and you're sort of walking up. And you've already been informed by sort of phoenixes you've met along the way that Varia's out.
Where is she?
Yeah, cut to, there's like a big giant like metal gate being opened, and you're there in orange scrubs for no reason. And so the two of you, so you're walking up the hill towards where she'll probably be, and this is your 4th. This is the first time that he's seen you as a rank 4. So what do you look like now?
So basically, every time she's died to this point, she comes back like a little bit wolfier. Now imagine that every time she's come back is about a quarter of the degree of how she's come back this time. Like it's actually skipped a step. So before it looked more like a woman that was turning into a wolf, she's past that threshold, so it's more the reverse to it. So she's actually got fur all over, the ears are up higher, her face is slanted a little bit more, so it's a little bit more wolfy without being like fully like snouted. Her talon, the axe is completely gone, so she has just Pyrean steel claws at this point, and her wolf pelt is also gone because basically it's essentially fully integrated into her. So she's a lot bigger. She's more, a little bit more hunched and larger than she had been, and she actually moves a little bit differently. So she looks like she's behaving a little bit more on an animalistic side than more of the human behavior and movement.
For those of you catching up with us, phoenixes slowly essentially become themselves. So you start your first rank of a phoenix, you kind of look a little bit like you did in life, but maybe a little different. A good example being our regular Durant character froze to death. So she came back in her first rank and was basically her but frozen. And now every rank thereafter, she's slowly becoming whatever it is that is like the sort of expression of her phoenixdom. In her case, she's defrosting, so we won't know for a while what she becomes. So Varya, when she came out, was just basically a woman with like a wolf pelt, but the wolf pelt like was kind of a little bit too attached to her shoulders.
Yeah, she had been in her former life, she'd been a berserker, so that was, she was channeling sort of that nature animal energy, and then when she died and came back, she became more of that. It was more of a literal manifestation.
Now, it's not uncommon to have somewhat monstrous phoenix, so there's a lot of empty suits of armor or like giant flaming people or whatever. Like it's not uncommon.
Or an inky blue cloak that is kind of slowly just walking around on its own.
So for some reason, but for whatever reason, Varya, maybe I think because that little spark in her eye is just slightly scarier to folks in her incarnation than normal. So like there's like a centaur with like spikes in place of a head going like, whoa. Calm down. And so there's Varya. I'm saying now that she's probably like a good 1.5 feet taller than Ink. So she's looking down at you now, and you walk up to each other.
In all meanings of that phrase.
And what happens?
Well, I feel like we awkwardly stare at each other for a minute or two.
Yeah.
Maybe you sniffed me.
No.
I'm sorry.
She actually does not say anything. She goes over, just puts a hand on his shoulder, looks at him, walks away.
That's it.
All right, so Ink goes directly to the bar.
Yeah.
And days later, you haven't spent much time together. The wing hasn't been dispatched for any reason. When at one point you're maybe training and you're at the bar or whatever you're doing, writing, and there's like all of a sudden for the first time you've ever heard, and many phoenixes have ever heard, there's a sort of general alarm, and whole wings of phoenixes, including your wing, are sort of like gathering together. They're grabbing their gear, what gear they need. You basically are sort of born from the fire with the clothes you're going to wear for the rest of your lives. But they all start running sort of towards the Imperial fire. And you get in there, and this is what Winter, the Shrouded Marshal, the highest ranked Shrouded, is there, and you can see that Ember, the Elemental Marshal, is already sending groups through the Imperial Flame out into the world, and she's happy to see your wing, who we'll say is all here at this time. And she goes, come closer, and you, and she's pulling you all around, and she says, well, we've thought for a while now that the chant might be a deliberate act. Once you started discovering the chant outbreaks come from these small shards of what we think is probably a tablet, we've started to wonder how those shards got into the cities and villages where chant outbreaks have taken place. And sort of in proving that theory, there's been an outbreak in a major city. Now, we don't know how it started, but we do know that it's in full bloom right now, which means we're basically putting all of our resources towards trying to contain it before we lose another city like we did Mardenford. So we're going to be sending you on various missions. It's very important that you get ready and go as soon as you can. And you especially, she says, pointing all your wing, will be of utmost importance here, but we may not be able to send you out together.
What do you mean?
Just 1 second, and Ember comes like standing up and says like, good, you're all, the Durant, Stonewall, the Durant, Marshal, who is like a 9 foot tall, like Roman gladiator with a giant spear, sort of steps up and says, it's good that you're all here. We need to come together now in what will be our most important battle to date. As you know, I forgot what town it is. Hold on.
Oh, please.
As you know, the town of Torika is currently under chant attack. We think this might be the first time we can actually battle this one back without having to lose the entire city. So you're all going to be sent on specific missions to help us deal with this problem. All of the elementals and Durance will be needing you on the front lines, and so Beans and Kelvin go walking over there, and they're all. You can see that they're being sort of brought to lead groups of soldiers. You can recognize some of the soldiers you took with you in the Mardenford reclamation. So these are all clearly soldiers that have survived the chant, so they're all chant immune, and they're all sort of heading out together, and they're leaving by ship. We're going to need all of you Forceful on a special mission. We need to get in and out of a place very quickly, and you Forceful are best for it. So like Eerie and a few other, you're Forceful, who is like constantly shifting like wind. He looks like he's like blasted with like a hurricane wind, goes like off in that direction. We're going to need many of you in the devoted school to travel to the refugee points to help us bring the refugees in and make sure they're all healthy. And then everyone's going off, and then he starts assigning Wings various missions. And eventually, everyone's almost at the door but the four of you. And winter comes up. All right, so we have reason to believe that this chant outbreak was caused deliberately. We think someone brought the chant shard into the town and then somehow caused it to be triggered. We also think that person probably is trying to escape with the refugees heading out of town.
And thus spreading the chant further.
Well, hopefully taking it somewhere else. I mean, they're clearly not chanters themselves, or we would be stopping them at the borders. So, we're going to send both of you, two of our most cunning Shrouded, to try and get the information you can by traveling amongst the refugees as they head to freedom. Now, they might be in serious danger, so we're going to send you, one of our strongest bidders, to protect them, and you to potentially heal them. But your mission is to figure out if the person or persons, I should say, or creatures, come to think of it, that's responsible for this chant outbreak are in the fleeing refugees, and if so, do your best to bring them to justice. We would prefer to take them alive, so we can see if we can figure out where this whole system has been created. If not, do everything you can to bring them to justice in harder terms.
Understood.
We're going to send you to the area that's closest to where the refugees are traveling so you can join them there. It's up to you whether you want to present as phoenixes or not. Some of you may have a harder time than others. The key here is to get the information and not trigger what might be some sort of secondary attack. We don't know whether or not these creatures or persons who are responsible for this act are otherwise empowered. Do you have any questions?
I'm really glad you picked me for a mission in subtlety.
Sometimes subtlety is not the only answer. Here's a redraw for you from Gallard. Someone in the chat has bought you a redraw.
What is?
It means you can draw a card with that if you ever need it.
Thank you. That would be good. Thank you. I'll need all the help I can get, to be honest. That's great. Thank you.
Okay, and there's some other redraws there in the center of the table that we've gotten over time.
Look, there's birds. Weird.
You may
They're
need
gone.
them.
They
They're new.
like disappeared.
All right, so if
She's
you don't.
not going to be in this wing for very long.
You're familiar with this from you're the only one here who had this done, but Ember basically connects the four of you into a sort of a temporary wing. So the sort of bond that you have with your wingmates, you have with the four of each other. You also still feel your other wingmates wherever they are distant in the world, but now you can sort of share your abilities with each other. So this is about it. Yes. And so now it's time to meet the two of you. So the other Shrouded that they brought you in to deal with is.
So I have Fade. She was a very poor girl when she was young, and she started stealing to try and survive. She only had herself to take care of herself. When she was a teenager, she became very good at thieving and sneaking around and not getting caught, so she was recruited to become an investigator. She's been an investigator for about 10 years, so she's in her late 20s now, and she was on a mission when she died. She didn't see anyone coming, she didn't hear anyone coming, she was just dead suddenly. So her mystery is, her secret is she was on a mission that was not completed, and she doesn't know if it was someone from that mission or a previous mission that killed her, but she got taken out. She came back. She's a very small woman. She's like a small teenager. She looks like a small teenager. She was a form of shapeshifter, but only in the minor sense. She couldn't mystique herself around. She couldn't make herself look completely different. But she can change her hair color, she can change her eye color, she can change her skin tone, all these minor things. So in real life, she has long, dark blonde hair, but if she pulls it back tight, it goes short and black, so she can look like a boy if she wants to. Her problem is she always felt invisible in the world and not cared for, so each time she dies, she becomes more and more invisible. Eventually, she will fade into non-existence, which is funny because you said something along the lines for your character, right?
Well, why don't you tell us about Ink for the first time, as they're new to you.
Okay, so Ink in his first life was a scholar who learned something he ought not to have and was killed unceremoniously and thrown in the canals. And his crucible, his sort of training ground as a phoenix, is a giant, endless library. So when he dies, he spends some time kind of learning how to be a better phoenix, but each time he comes back, he's also got this blue cloak, kind of inky blue, if you will, that allows him to become hidden, but the past few times he's come back, his physical form is starting to fade, and the cloak is sort of becoming who he is. And there's also sort of a continuously shifting story that is on his cloak. And it's like the words change. And his talent, his weapon, is a pen, basically.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And your
I
talent
forgot to mention, my talent is a little sketchbook. It's about the size of her palm. It's how she would complete her investigative mission. She would sketch a small image to prove where she was. For example, if she was investigating the infidelity of a nobleman's wife, she would go and see it happening and notice she had a birthmark on her lower thigh. So she'd sketch the shape of that to prove she's seen her, so on and so forth. And there's the metals in the binding of the book, and she has a little pen with her as well.
That's great.
So that's
We're going to
pretty
get along
fun.
just fine.
Yeah, I think so.
These are your talent cards I forgot to give you earlier, but you
Oh.
have them, so...
Oh, yes, and my
Okay.
talent is named Dream
you.
Shadow.
Do we choose our talents, or are they?
No, I'm going to give you, because the talons are... For guests, I have to give them out,
Nice.
because otherwise you'd have a lot of the same.
There's something on the other side, too.
Yeah, they start on the orange side, I believe, and then you can flip them to the red
Okay.
side.
Yeah, it depends on
That's
some
cool.
need to do something to activate them, and some
see.
you just flip it well. It depends.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, and the road is?
And I'm Tarani. I'm from Sunset, off the coast. Most of my family ran ships and things of that nature. I came from a big family, but I was always the one who was the light, literally the light. I ran the lighthouse, and so I was the one up in the top of the sphere, always letting in the ships through storm, through all different weather. One night, when the storm was too much to bear and the light actually blew out in the lighthouse, I took my lantern, which is my talon, and I ran outside in the storm, and I tried to guide the ship home with my father in it. I don't really know what became of it because I died in the storm, but that's like my story.
I love this game.
And every time I die, I become more and more of a light. So my skin shimmers. I'm brighter.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Got cloak and dagger over here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you two are like hiding behind something, and you guys have like a giant
Just a beacon.
snarling wolf and like a cleat
Yes.
light.
The silhouette of a wolf, backlit, with weird living shadows. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, you could just use, but basically Mac is too intimidating to acknowledge, so like when people see her, she just goes, "Don't look at me!" Did you see something? No.
Nope.
No, I did not.
Drugs just kicked in.
So great. So they send you out through the Imperial Flame, which means this is essentially the worst kind of Star Trek transporter. So you get in. I don't know if you've obviously as we always say, you've seen
Watchmen.
Watchmen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know in Watchmen when he gets stuck in that room and he like atomizes essentially.
I don't remember that.
Okay. How Dr. Manhattan becomes Dr. Manhattan. It's essentially
right.
that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So you
oh,
basically
dear.
you do walk into the Imperial Flame and you literally burn to ash and you feel it. And
oh,
then
that's fun.
at the other area, somewhere else in the world, you basically come back together. So you like a swirl of ash becomes bones, becomes muscles, becomes you, and then like fills out as your uniform, and then you can walk out of the Imperial Flame and you're fine. And it's not fun, but you guys are both rank 4, so you've been through this a lot of times. At least 4 times. You've been on at least 4 missions, unless you died once at home. Is this a grenade? Boom!
She slipped in the
Thinking
tub.
choking on my suit, but sure.
So essentially, you all step through, boom, 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 and this Eerie is on the road out for the refugees are taking. So there are refugees here, like sort of praying to the spirit of dawn. They're like being serviced by the attendants here. There are racks of weapons, as there always are. You guys don't need weapons, but just in case you need a specific thing, they have, these places are set to be like sort of arrival locations for phoenixes. So there's
put a
also
couple on
like
a dolly.
big bags of supplies of various types, and the Flamekeeper and the rest of the attendants are buzzing around ready to help you whatever you want. So, and right now though, they're also ministering, like, wounded people are being brought in here and they're being tended to. You're the only 4 phoenixes that have come in through this area because everyone else is being sent closer to the town to deal with things. And we'll say there's a big, for whatever reason, this area has a big sort of like open window, like or it's a closed window, but open like clear window, almost like an observatory. And through it you can see the line of the buildings in the far distance of what is the town. And it's clear that stuff's on fire, and and you can see like an elemental phoenix like flying up over the city and like shooting fire down on something and then falling back down, and then like there's like a building falls in. Like it's clear that like shit's going down in the city while you guys are here. So before you leave the Eerie and reconnect with this or get involved, what is your plan?
Well, I suppose we should try to find somebody in charge and ask if they have seen anything or know anything.
Well, it's a good place to start, at least.
Indeed. Who's in charge here?
Do you want to go out to like the actual people walking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Say that with authority, not
Yeah.
like I just said it.
This cloak is right. So you go out and there's it's basically like a human caravan of people. They're carrying equipment on their backs, and there's like people are rolling wagons, and they have like huge packs. Children are being sort of herded forward.
Sorry. Sidebar real quick. As soon as Ink steps outside, he's reminded of Marshall Winter's words about presenting as a phoenix or not. So he closes his eyes and concentrates very hard, and he kind of fades back into reality. So he
Nice.
appears to be flesh and blood again.
Do you want to?
Fade sees that, and she can her clothes change slightly too. So when she's in normal, she has her long, dirty blonde hair. She just looks like a ragamuffin. She has these kind of look like judo robes, but they're a bit tighter, and they're a nice beige color in normal, and then they can turn black when she hides. So she just kind of shakes it off and turns blonde hair, beige robes, just looks like a normal teenager.
So are the two of you intending to be part of the refugees? Or are you and like who just happen to have 2 Phoenix friends, or how do you want to pull this off?
If you're going to go that route about it, you should probably go out ahead, because otherwise they're going to see you with us.
What's the plan on taking out the mole?
Well,
We don't even know who or what it is.
I feel like Fate and I can move relatively unnoticed amongst them, no offense to either of you. And perhaps we can listen very intently.
My strength is not hardened, so if you need me as a diversion, that's what I'm here for.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
So you two basically, with absolutely zero effort, can sort of just join the line of people at any
Not
point.
side by side.
Yeah.
I think
We-
we're yeah.
Separate sides of it.
Nobody really like knows anyone they're walking with though. So maybe there's there's 5 people who are on the same block are kind of trying to stay together, but most people are sort of scattered, and the sort of herd of humanity goes for maybe 100 or 200 yards in one direction. So it's like a big long column of people, and you're all traveling south towards the capital, which through the Alolan Peninsula here, which is why the fast ships from the Grand Area were able to head out and bring the soldiers in along with the Durance. So you're not far from the Grand Area, far enough that it's like a day or two's journey by boat, but you guys are sort of jumping in right in the middle. Meanwhile, when the two of you arrive, especially you, as our regular devoted is familiar with, instantly people are running up to you, even you, which is kind of amazing. No one is scared of you; they're all just super glad you're there. And so, although they're not going to talk to you, but they're definitely, but they're and they kind of run but like sort of like kids with like a with like a scary cop, but who's protecting them from like some criminal. They're kind of like around your legs and like looking around, and they won't really make eye contact with you, but they know that you're safe. So you basically like so basically like a smaller herd of people sort of marches in around you, and for you, people are very much like talkative, like, what do you know, Phoenix? Like, when will people help us? Like, oh, the Phoenix is coming!
Calm your nerves, dawn shines on you, child. And I just put my hand on their heads.
They seem calm. And there's still a bunch of people who don't believe Phoenixes actually exist, so they kind of think that like Phoenixes are like Phoenix cosplayers. But it's very
I
hard.
just had a horrible accident.
Yeah, it's very hard to make that argument like around a 9-foot tall wolf girl or a
It's called hypertrichosis and
Right.
it's genetic.
But there are some who are like no, like the Phoenixes are dead. This is some ruse, like But it doesn't become like torches and pitchforks. But there are definitely a few that are sort of on the fringes. So we'll start with the two of you. Actually, so we'll basically treat it as. Go ahead.
I'm going to try and keep tabs on them because I can hear a little better and try and at least make sure I know where they're at so that I can stick close by. So if they're asking people questions, I can kind of listen to the tenor of people's voices if maybe there's kind of that wavery lie going on.
Also, as we often revisit with you, you can smell them.
Yes.
And so, like,
and the crush of humanity.
Yes. But even that, like, especially now, you can definitely pick out them different. As long as the wind's in the right direction, you know exactly where the two of them are, up to like hundreds of feet away. And because you're, does anyone have a bond? Does anyone have a power that ends with the word bond?
No.
You don't have your devoted bond. Do you have?
I can escape bonds, but that's it.
So escaping bonds is definitely good. You have the Shrouded bond.
Which one is that?
That
Oh,
one,
this
right
one.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
So that should say that you know something about your wingmates at all times.
When you are hidden, you may burn one spark on your turn to appear next to one of your wingmates, regardless of distance between the two of you. Then then when one of your wingmates dies, you may take their skill speciality card and use it until they are reborn.
So you know where they are at all times. Like you
can pop to
inherently
them.
know
Okay.
where they are.
Great.
And no amount of distance or anything can change that. So
Beautiful.
and you also, by the way, as it happens, know exactly where the 4 other members of your wing who are like in the town fighting or whatever, you feel their positions too.
Ooh.
So you're well aware of all of that. So so we'll start with you with Ink.
Okay.
So is there a type of person that you want to try and target amongst the refugees?
The foreign-looking ones? No.
That's, I mean, this is
No,
like but I will
that-
say that this is like most D&D sort of spaces. There is not a terrible amount of metropolitanism, so like people from other regions
Right,
are
mix.
rarer here.
Sure.
So
I
like
see.
yeah, so like if
Not
you look for people who aren't Alonin, they're more rare. If that's helpful.
That is helpful, but that's not my intention.
Thanks, Donald Trump. All right, so
We're gonna build the wall. We're gonna keep out the dread. The dread are gonna pay for it. It's gonna be huge. I think I'm gonna try and find like a family.
okay.
You know. Somebody.
There's more than a few families traveling around.
Okay.
How do you want to sort of approach them?
Sort of, walk up. Well met, friend. How long have you been traveling?
We were happy that we got out on the first day. Now that we understand what the chant is, it was easy for the local guardsmen to tell us it was happening. So we basically packed up that day. We thought we were going to be the first to leave town. For a second, we thought we were crazy, but by the time we had gotten to the borders, there was hundreds of us.
Yeah, I've heard stories of the chant. I mean, all of us are lucky to have our lives at the moment.
We were close too. It was in the mercantile district that apparently things started, and we have a shop there. So had we gone to work that day earlier, we may have gotten caught up in it ourselves. There's a traveler here who was in a chant outbreak in Mardenford many years ago who told us a lot about it. He's apparently immune to it now. So he's been helping us as best he can. He was able to take some extra people out.
Do you know where he is now?
Oh, well, no.
What does he look like?
Well dressed, but a little shaggy. I think we all are. It's been many days on the road.
Indeed.
When next we come to rest, I'm sure we'll be able to find him. Davrin or Davin, I think is his name.
Well, I'm interested in knowing more about the chance so I can protect myself more effectively. I hope you don't mind if I take my leave of you, friends, but travel safely.
Of course, and you don't seem to have many packs. If you need food or anything, we have some, and we've been finding some good care packages left by other towns. Most of them won't come out and greet us in person for fear that we're chanters, but they will leave food on the road.
People fear what they don't understand, but it's good to know that human kindness shines through even in these dark times. Perhaps our paths shall cross again soon, I hope.
All right, thank you, sir.
And then I'm going to try and find a well-dressed man.
All right. Meanwhile, what are you doing?
Meanwhile, Fade is walking around and looking for any one person that's alone that perhaps looks a little too sweaty, is not making eye contact, looking down a lot, looking a bit shifty. She's just keeping her eye open for anyone that fits that bill.
Okay. It's not long where you can find, unfortunately, more than you'd probably want. There's a lot of people who sort of, left the city in bad ways. You find a few that look particularly suspicious. First off, draw up to 6 cards because
Just from the top, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you'd like, you can make an intellect spread to try and identify these. There's a couple guys, and they definitely look like there's something shifty about them. So if you want to make an intellect spread, you can try and make a sort of understand what's going on. This would be an observation roll. So you're already going to get +5 from your natural abilities.
Okay. So highest number I can get, right? Is what can
also,
I ask for help?
Yes, you definitely can. And also,
Absolutely.
at this
I'm
point in the
thinking-
game, you're going to be able to draw right back up, so it doesn't
Right,
matter
yeah.
if you I would burn your highest
I'm
cards.
thinking I ask which one of these guys.
You certainly could.
Right?
Let's see
And
what else
then
you've got,
it's
though.
all-
Oh,
But
well,
I
then
think I can, when you make it,
Yes,
when
so
you
what
make
you
a spread,
can
you can use
do,
any one card,
you
regardless
wanted
of the
to,
actual.
although,
so
I mean,
I could do
that's-
like this.
yeah,
Yeah?
you can definitely do that.
Okay.
So put the grace down,
Grace down
first,
first.
that she's using as intellect,
So that's 4
and then
+5. Brilliant deduction. All right, I'll give that trump. So you're going to go ahead. You don't need to spend that.
Okay.
It's just you realize after a short time of observing them that they're prisoners, that they must have escaped in the fray. Like one of them has like half a handcuff that's like still like he broke it, but it's still too tight to get off his wrist. So they look shifty, but they're probably not the cause of the chant as much as they're people who don't want to be like taken back to prison whenever they get where they get.
Fair enough.
So you can take those cards back in your discard.
Discard.
and then
okay.
draw 2 more.
And draw 2 more.
All right. After a while, though, you are able to sort of single out a couple of people. There's like a small group of people who are traveling together who seem like they're not interested in spending like unnecessarily standoffish with the rest of the group. You can almost literally see like a sort of like ring of empty space around them, where like anyone who comes near them, they sort of like sneer and drive them off. And a little bit of observation there, and they definitely look suspicious. These are all out-of-towners who sort of, that you can tell that they don't have, they're alone but they don't have the sort of like regular like colors and styles that are like that the rest of the refugees have. So, alone in towns tend to have like a very specific, distinct look. Kind of like that New York look, whatever. But only, as opposed to being only carried out by like the 10% of people who like care about fashion. It's it's an RPG. So literally everybody in the town in this town like wears a blue shirt because that's what you do.
Are
Right.
you saying that refugees look like New Yorkers, or that New Yorkers look like refugees?
So
Yes.
both. Yeah.
So as she's
Boho chic, I
she's
think is what
looking
it
at
is.
them, she's trying to deduce whether they're having a serious conversation or not, because there's a lot going on. There's people running around trying to get out, and anyone that's stopped and having a serious conversation is going to be up to something. It could
Okay.
be personal, it could be related, but I want to have a check.
Again, this would be an intellect spread.
Okay.
So you can draw back up to 6.
Yep.
Which she did.
And it's an intellect spread, and this is here's the thing. It's observation. I'd give you +10 because you can just basically watch them.
Great.
But if you want to use spycraft because you don't want them to see you're watching them, it's only +5. but you have no chance of sort of tipping them off.
I don't want them to see me.
All right, so you're
at
plus
all.
5.
What do you think?
We'll definitely put that one down.
Yeah.
Because that's 9.
Yeah.
I would save that, as
Okay.
tempting as that is. So
Maybe one of this
yeah.
ones?
Yeah.
Okay, this one down first, or? Or this
either
one
way,
down first?
whichever you
Okay,
prefer.
so this playing is intellect.
Okay.
And
Okay. And you can put 3 in a skill spread on top of that. So.
should I?
But
or
you
should I
can
roll
you can only use one grace card.
Okay, so if you'd have to have another
okay.
intellect
No,
spread.
I
Okay,
do.
so
Okay, great.
all right, so that is 9 to 12. They are still moving along, like they're keeping with the sort of like traffic, but they're definitely all having like a very sort of like surreptitious conversation, and it stops as soon as like like when a kid like skips into their sort of like circle of privacy, like they instantly shut up.
Okay.
So they definitely do seem like they're hiding something.
Okay, Fade's interested in them, so she's going to take out her sketchbook and draw a quick sketch of each of their faces so that she can show it to her comrades later.
Nice. Okay.
Don't forget to check.
thank you.
Meanwhile, back with the two of you. I'll say the two of you are because you're close enough to each other that you can sort of be in each other's actions.
I'm going to relay diversion, and I walk further along with the intention of trying to showcase that I'm even more so a phoenix, so that way I draw those who maybe are religious or have religious beliefs closer to me, so that way I can kind of funnel things out while you guys are trying to find others.
Okay.
So that's my goal.
You can, if you want, you can make a grace spread to sort of show your phoenixdom. So draw 5.
Sure. And I relay this to you before I walk. Sorry,
And
just 5 from the top.
I already love the way this game is played. This is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
now you can make a grace spread or burn a spark. So if you want, you can just basically you can like burn a bit of your magical energy to like just be more godly and awesome.
Could it be a healing? Like I try to emit healing and
This
the
isn't
healing
a
light?
healing action, but
Okay.
you could use this as a spirits action, which is sort of like clerical magic. So
Sure.
if you want to do spirit, so you're plus 5.
Okay, great. And I can use both only grace in this check.
Yep, it's a great. Grace is the quality a phoenix has of being a phoenix, which is why all of you have grace. So
I
as
don't wanna use that.
new players may have noticed, you have grace and intellect. The Mac has grace and strength, and so like
Right.
so
it's
phoenixes
really
can't
help
operate
you,
alone.
so
Like you
that's
need
where
each
this
other
at.
to cover each other's
Yeah.
bases.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although this is the most intellectual this group will be for a long time.
That's great.
We are smarts.
All right, so 7 plus 5. I would say, okay, so you basically like sort of, like you push that light out from yourself a little more, and you seem a little taller, and you fall into sort of Idalia, our regular devoted sort of like glorious beauty sort of thing, where it's like people sort of like you know.
And Beyonce.
Yeah, Beyonce.
Great.
You're levitating Beyonce, and people are sort of like coming from all around.
Great.
And I will say with a distinction that like what you're putting out is a very distinctly like good, as this game would say, like dawn related thing. So no one who would even like I will tell you from a game perspective that members of the Dread just won't they wouldn't like fake it. They wouldn't be like, oh, we're gonna pretend that we like that. Like they won't go near you.
No.
So like basically like 100 people sort of coalesce on you for a second, and you can feel very distinctly sure that none of these people are the guilty party, because they wouldn't be able to bring themselves to approach
Wow.
this expression of dawn.
Great. I just
That's
make eye
great.
contact with everybody.
And then
You
for no
guys.
reason you stare them all down. You liked this. You liked it. You came for. You wanted it. It's happening. All right, go ahead, Mac. What do you want to do?
So I'm actually not going to look for the shifty person. I'm going to look, since I have the fear specialty, I'm going to look for the person that seems a little too confident, that's just moving along with the
Just the ones
crowd,
you use.
that maybe is
Draw
acting
back
like
up to your
they're
hand.
scared but really isn't. So somebody that they think they're getting away with something. So I'm going to look for the person who's actually more calm than the rest of the crowd.
Okay. This is a grace spread for you too.
Yep.
At plus 5. That's the other thing too, is everyone has grace, right? So because grace is the quality of being a phoenix,
The
but it also
one
allows you to
time that I
make
had
checks
them all.
that that aren't like because obviously this isn't a strength check. She's not like I'm taking it hard. So like it basically is like the backup stat that covers everything. Grace
That's
is
great.
The,
Yeah. I have
Grace is the word.
14.
14.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of grace
Wow.
points this
Okay.
time. That never happens and never will again.
She's the chill werewolf.
We'll say that you, you're sort of sniffing this out, but literally and figuratively, and so you're looking for someone who you think is afraid, but feels like they got away with it.
Well, like, not even that they're afraid, but maybe is acting like, oh, I'm one of these people here, and I'm fleeing as well, and I'm totally scared, but that really isn't.
Okay.
That isn't actually giving off that same fear, because I imagine that, like, there's just, like, a level of fear coming off of people because they're refugees, they're escaping, they're getting away, but they wouldn't be afraid if they were the one that carried it out. They're going to be probably more calm about it.
You notice a couple of they look like what region am I thinking about here? They're Scavian soldiers. There's 2 of them, and they don't have their weapons with them. They must have left them behind, but they do have like sort of like loose sacks of gear. And they're sort of like blending in with the refugees, and they're putting on they're giving off the same visual and social cues that everyone else is, but they don't seem afraid at all. Like you don't actually detect real fear. They're putting up a front. Although,
they are dressed like soldiers.
They are dressed like soldiers. They're dressed like so they have masks because they're Skavens.
Yeah.
So the Skavens all wear a half mask. So like the fallen, which are their like spirits, don't like see your real face. And so so they're and you definitely can sort of like track them for a while. Incidentally, they are just slightly afraid of you. Like if you like if they see you noticing them, they will definitely they give off that stink of fear a little bit, but they're not they're otherwise not afraid, but they're not like fearless somehow miraculously where they're like, oh look, it's a 9-foot werewolf. Meh.
But also if they had any kind of guilt,
Yeah.
then they would probably be scared of the 9-foot werewolf that could probably take them out.
Right.
I'm not the best.
Oh, you don't have to be 9 feet because I keep referring to you.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe I am. You don't know.
Yeah, sure.
I haven't been measured in
you
a
do.
while. I didn't go back to higher and have them mark
Yeah.
off on the wall like my growth chart growing up.
The devoted marshal is everyone's mom.
Yeah.
Oh, you look at how tall you got.
Yeah, Varia, Death 3.
Yep. And you see one of those like 50 feet tall. You're like, who was that? Like, oh, don't even worry about your brother. Eat your food.
Oh my god.
That's true. There's no information on the devoted marshal. The devoted marshal is literally mom. She is everyone's mom.
I'm trying to think if there's a good way I can get one of their attentions because they're a little bit more unnoticeable.
All right. Well, let's say this. Like it starts to get dark, and up ahead you can hear way back at the top of this, someone is leading this. They're probably like a military or part of like the city watch or like leading the refugees out. And you can hear you especially can hear in the way distance someone's like break, and then everyone and it passes back break, 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 and people putting their hands up, and there's the occasional little sort of pocket of soldiers will be all right, everybody, we're breaking for we're putting it down tonight, we're gonna make camp here, we'll leave out in the morning, it's not safe to travel at night. So everyone sort of starts forming into little social clusters and putting up little tents they have, and fires are being lit. Incidentally, phoenixes don't sleep. You don't need to sleep. You don't need to eat. You don't need to do anything. But many phoenixes do because it feels good. Yeah.
So you two want to pretend.
Yeah. She's a teenager. She's got to pretend for many hours.
But as a result, you're sort of all, you've been moving around, but in the same maybe half mile of group of people. So now that half mile is sort of one big circle in cover and under trees. So if you want, you can sort of
I want to kind of just I'm kind of, making the rounds, making sure people are, not okay because I'm not asking them anything, but look like I'm kind of patrolling and try and get probably close over to Ink to be Scavian soldiers, and then just keep going, really quiet.
Well, and as you're saying that, I'm look for a sharp-dressed man. Yeah.
Ladies go crazy.
We train.
Yeah.
And I'm woo!
I just pictured Fade in the corner holding a sketchbook
Well, no, I feel like we probably crossed paths and we.
Yeah, the two
Yeah,
of
we
you can,
would.
like,
We'd
you
be
know,
subtle about it.
I'm not
So-
coming anywhere near you.
No, it's
Yeah.
I'm dissipating some of the glow, and I'm looking for whoever seemed to initiate the break. I'm looking for the highest ranked official I possibly can find.
If you wanted to, you'd have to go up another couple of miles. I mean, again, you don't get tired, so you're fine. But you'd have to go forward a couple of miles to, like, the head of the refugees, but you can definitely get there.
I start to make my way there, and
Okay.
you guys, I'm letting the light glow a little bit so you guys can see me as I'm walking away.
And people are still stopping you and, like, you know, giving you prayers or, like, asking for
Dawn's
healing.
my
blessing.
baby.
Dawn's blessing on you.
So I'm
And you can
gonna
do sort of, like, real basic healing. So just for the two of you and for the folks at home, your health levels, of which you both have 6, represent about as much damage as it takes to kill a person. So it takes 6 times as much of what it would take to kill a human being to take down a phoenix.
Wow.
Or 8.
Yeah, or
7.
Yeah,
Or 7.
I said, well, but I got a new talent, which I haven't
know.
gotten to use yet.
But also you don't heal naturally. At dawn, you heal 1 health level, and you get some sparks back. But if you are, like, down to 1 health level left, like, you know, you still have that rebar sticking through your neck. You just don't drop. So, like, the only way to really be healed is by your devoted, who can take wounds off you and put them on others. But also, you can basically heal, like, regular folk that aren't, like, mortally wounded, like, for free. Because you're just like, oh, let's take, oh god, yeah, that looks like a bad break. But you're fine. Like, as long as you don't have to heal a person from, like, 0 to not dead anymore,
Yeah.
like,
I'm
it
Jesus-ing
costs
along
you
the way.
nothing.
Yeah.
I'm Jesusing.
Ooh, you're just ugly.
Fixed. Tongues fixed.
So I'm going to look for somebody who's well dressed, but I'm not going to move too far because I'm imagining he's going to go and check out my tip, and I just don't want to be that far away.
All right, so I know what the 3 of you are doing. What are you going to do now that people are settling down?
Fade waits for a moment when she's leaning up against, I assume there's trees and stuff around. She's leaning
Sure.
up against a tree. She waits until absolutely no one's looking. She just pops up into the tree, goes up into one of the mid branches where she's hidden in the shadows, and just settles down to listen to what's going on and just be invisible.
Do you want to, like, so you just sort of, like, stop holding yourself in the visual
Maybe
spectrum?
when she goes up into the tree, her robes change and she puts her hair up so she's as dark as she can be,
So
she
what-
can't be seen.
What kind of invisible are you? Like, are you just, like,
She's-
full on not there,
she's-
but you still stayed, or is it like that
Predator.
bad
So-
TV invisibility where, like, you're...
Right, so at 4, she kind of looks like she's in between. What was it? The Invisible Woman. So
Yeah.
basically, she's at the point she's level 4 or
Rank
what
4,
do you
yeah.
look rank 4. So she can still use her hands perfectly normally, but you can't really see. Like, it's going translucent here. She's got patches where it's a bit translucent, but no one really thinks much of it because it doesn't. She can hide it if she wants to. This is like her true natural form when she's a bit hidden.
Yeah.
So her friends have seen her like that, but people out in public probably wouldn't have.
Cool.
She would have just been a teenager.
It's not that Fantastic Four Jessica Alba invisibility where,
Not
like,
quite.
if you were going to be indecent, you're invisible, but if you're
Right.
not, then you... anyway, so,
Yeah.
Convenient.
Yeah.
It's,
invisibility.
I honestly think there was parts of that Fantastic Four movie that were the best Fantastic Four movie ever, like, even better than the old unreleased one.
Roger Corman one?
Corman one. But there was also parts of it that were really terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And the new one was just sort of like, it started so cool, and then it just became
With
a
the
sin
young,
against
with the
one.
kids.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I
Didn't the
haven't
director,
seen it.
like, flame out on Twitter?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And also
What?
in real life, like he did
Well,
like
yeah, yeah.
$50,000 to the house they were
Flame
damage to the house they were
on.
living in. Ooh, see what Mac did?
Yeah, right.
And
Comic
yay,
reference.
Mac.
I'm awesome.
He did all kinds of damage to the house. They like kicked him off the project. He apparently the like rumors are he was on a bunch of drugs. And the movie just kind of goes like, yeah,
Oh,
and,
no.
at the
Oh,
very
that's
beginning, it's
so
really cool. It sort of has
sad.
like that very like teen genius sort of feel, and then it very
Oh,
quickly just loses
shoot.
track of it.
That's
I
the worst when
yeah.
the movies start. Like, that's how I felt when I went and saw Van Helsing. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's in black and white, and there's monsters, and then, okay, height is all different sizes that
Mm-hmm.
he's chasing through. Oh, no, fuck you.
there's definitely something
And then
about
Kate Beckinsale started talking.
Oh my God! Wasn't she doing an accent? And it was
Gypsy,
the worst.
kind of generically foreign. Yeah,
And
I
running
don't
around
know.
in her corset and
Yeah.
spiked heels.
Yeah.
And,
The
like,
spiked
whole ass
heels.
Village. Yeah. it
Love
was
running in
swell.
spiked heels, especially in dirt. That's
Yeah.
real good. Yeah.
Super easy, too.
At least they
Grass,
could justify
awesome.
that shit in Underworld. But in Van
Yeah.
Helsing, it was like, no, there's no excuse here. Bad movie. Bad.
I do feel like too in Underworld at some point, like Kate Beckinsale or whatever should just like look at camera and be like, if you're dead and don't sweat, wouldn't you just wear latex all the time anyway and never change?
Yeah.
Because that's
So
my plan. I mean, like,
nice.
yeah, she has no reason to like have any other outfits, which is why she's gone 5 movies in the same clothes. You know,
You know, the embroidery on that, like, and leather work on that corset took a lot of time.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
a lot of
right.
hours,
Expensive.
you
Actually,
know.
I heard that she took one of them home just to, wear around the house periodically.
Yeah. Sure.
yeah. I
that's what
imagine
it's
that the
for.
case as well. No, that movie is about vampires versus werewolves and latex versus leather.
Yeah, that's
Thinking all
great.
over the
That's really
place.
funny.
Fair.
But I'm a little worried about the next one. I've seen them all, weirdly enough. But
worried about all of them.
the trailer for the next one is like 75% footage from the previous 3 or 4 movies or whatever.
That's all it is. It's a
Weird.
clip show. maybe?
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
like,
Remember the one
It's
time?
just a flashback.
Yeah.
like she's like running forward. It's like a new footage of her like running forward, and then she like trips and falls, and she's like under some rubble, and then she's like, I remember when I fought that hybrid, and then like cuts to that scene and comes back, and she's like, and I remember when I could. No, it's not that.
And then
Okay, I
Wesley
was
Snipes
like,
is there for some reason?
Yeah.
No.
Painful.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like Demolition Man?
Come now.
I remember my
That's
when I was on this Hollywood news show, and they were interviewing like for the new what's that dumb movie with all the different Disposables? No, the
Expendables.
Expendables. And he was on.
Disposable.
Legal difference.
It's a way better
And he
title.
was on, so he was in the Expendables now, and they're like, geez, you're great in this. Like, why weren't you in the previous ones? And he's like, oh, well, I was already doing another movie for the federal government, which was like, suggesting that he was in jail all that time for tax evasion, which is why he wasn't in all those movies, which is also why the Blade franchise essentially stopped.
Yes.
Because even the third Blade movie,
Wesley
as
Snipes.
terrifyingly bad as it was, still made money. There'd be 3 more Blade movies if Wesley Snipes had not been in jail for, oops.
Oopsie doodles. Don't. Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, so you're on a tree. You're looking for the 2 soldiers. You're looking for the well-dressed man.
I know.
Gotta find a way around that sentence. You're walking to the front. So we'll go. Okay, so you see the 2 Scavian soldiers.
Okay.
They've made camp with a sort of, they're in a group of people and they're chatting. There aren't a lot of Scavians here. Definitely the most standoutish sort of like, culture of all the people of this area because no one else wears masks at all.
Right.
And so you see the 2 of them. They're definitely dressed as soldiers. They definitely have like sort of like loose packs with like what looks like gear they were able to scavenge on the way out. And they're all like sitting around a fire with a bunch of other people and families. I don't know. They have like tin cups and they're eating like some sort of terrible soup. And so what do you want to do?
I want to confidently walk up to them and say, well met friends, I was wondering if I might sit next to the fire with you. I don't need any of your food. I've lost my appetite, but the night is dark and full of terrors. I wasn't gonna,
There's
and
a
then I
snickering
did.
up in the tree. It's weird.
And remember that we've decided that the library that Ink has access to also has all the literature and
That's
movies
great.
of
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
So he's constantly making references to our pop culture universe, which no one else gets but him.
It's fantastic.
All right, so yeah, you sit down, and they happily hand you like a sort of bowl of food that you don't have to eat, but they're not precious about it. And they're all the 2 Scavians like, you should eat the soup. I have no idea what that means.
Oh, Eerie.
And they're all telling stories about like it's apparently you can feel that they know they say this every dinner, like every meal, like, all right, where were you when the chant hit, sort of thing. And like there was a family who was like way at the outside of town, and they were sure it wouldn't get to them, but then like they heard that their family members had all like been hit in the center of town when it had spread that far. There's a couple of people there who had actually seen a whisperer, which you don't often hear stories of. Whisperers are like advanced chanters who like levitate and throw telekinetic shit at people.
And they kind of control
The chant.
the chant
Oh.
in a way.
And they saw like a whisperer and
Or,
a
like,
bunch of
Anchor's
chanters attacking a high-rise building, and they're sort of that they basically just like dropped everything and left. And the two soldiers sort of give some story about how they had been sort of seconded there to work with the city guard, and then like as soon as the chant outbreak happened, they basically like threw their arms down and left because they've seen what happens to cities like this.
They didn't pay me enough for this.
Exactly. They had become too old for this shit.
I got to the point in my life
Great.
where I saw how old I was, the level of shit, and they did not meet up.
So if you want, you can make a deception skill spread to figure out if they're telling the truth or not.
Boy, I sure do. So I'm going to use the smartest person in the room, which gives me 5, so that's 10. It's going to do 14. I'm using this as intellect, so that's 16. And actually, 20.
20. All right. They're definitely lying.
Yeah. So Ink takes an opportunity to say, "Oh, well, if brave soldiers such as yourself ran, then we're all of us doomed."
I'm not like trying to do this to like, for some reason I see you in like a tweed suit with like a businessman's hat. Like I feel like you've like really like just gone native.
Little chaps.
You know, you're like, what?
I say.
I do declare.
I was selling vacuums and I had run from town, but you sell them. But anyway, so they sort of, take your prompting, and then one of them sort of brags maybe a little too much, like, well, we fought the Bones at well, let me grab some convenient Scavian towns.
Yeah, wherever they're lying about.
We fought the Bones at Lost Wall, and then we were there when the attack at Harrogate, and then the Field of Masks, and blah blah blah. And like at that point, you feel like even a few of the other people are like, that's some bullshit. But they don't necessarily put together that like that's bullshit as deeply as maybe you think it is. You're convinced now that they're not telling the truth, although you don't know what it is.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you find there's like another sort of cluster of people that are sort of cooking on a fire, and out from sort of the grove of trees, with like 2 rabbits comes this well-dressed sort of gentleman. He, that I guess is sort of Greco-Roman times, so there's no suits, but you imagine it's the like equivalent
senator,
of,
basically.
Yeah. And he's like, wow, I must say, must not be a lot of people in these parts except when the refugees are traveling through, because those snares went up real quick. And he like hands the rabbits over, and someone starts cutting and preparing them, and he's sort of like telling a story to everybody, and he is relating a similar story about well, he didn't prep you, but the story he's telling is like how he was in Mardenford back during the first attacks, and how he fell to the chant, but was knocked unconscious and fell into a wagon, and then the wagon traveled far enough away and somehow it cleared his head, but now the chant doesn't seem to affect him. And so he's telling the actual story of like being in the market square when shit went down. He says he's like sort of a salesman. Like he's sort of a guy who like, makes deals. And he says that there was a curio shop, and he hadn't done any business in it, but it was somewhat famous in that part of town. And
in Mardenford.
Yeah, like and no, sorry, this is in the town. The most recent out. This is in
the most where we are.
This is in Torika.
Okay.
And he hadn't been in the curio shop. He didn't know what was in there, but he had heard that it was, had a lot of exotic goods or whatever, Scavian masks or something. And it was a Spencer Gifts. And he he'd been doing business, and then he didn't see anyone go in or out of it, but then suddenly, like a couple of people, and later a man who he's I guess been talking to other people, and they was told him it was a shopkeeper, came bursting out, and they were chanting, and a lot of people didn't know what the chant was, but they saw these like ranting people, and some people actually ran towards them, like, we'll help you, and then they would, he tells the story of one of them was like running towards the person, and then just like falls forward on their knees and slumps forward, and then sort of uncoils back up and is chanting, and starts running back the other way, and people who were not, who didn't fall to the chant were getting like grabbed and pulled down and beat, and he started booking it out of town and trying to make everyone aware that like the chant was happening, but nobody was listening really. I mean, they weren't like dismissing him, and he eventually got out. So
Wow.
what the application is, because that makes sense. But
If you bring me to him, or if I get near him, then I can. We have planned, maybe.
All right. Do you want to do anything other than try and get Ink over there?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of circle back towards where Ink is and try and indicate, you know, where the other fellow is. And I imagine I was still close by, and you know, I'm still keeping tabs on the Skavian soldiers, so kind of swap positions. So I'm gonna kind of prowl closer to where the Skavian soldiers are and let him go and check that out. But I'm also gonna give him a look as he passes, like, you know, like, did he hear anything from the Skavian soldiers, or?
Well,
know,
there's
kind of
probably enough time where we kind of pass each other, where we can kind of stage whisper.
I was just like, you know, trouble.
Well, they're lying about something. I don't know what, though.
I'll keep tabs.
What about you?
I found your guy. I don't know if he's your guy.
Where is he? Thank you. Well, I mean, I excuse myself from the group. I'm like, oh, I'm suddenly not feeling so well. You'll pardon me.
It was
The soup.
Did you eat the soup?
Fade's sitting up in the tree and keeping an eye on what's happening with you two guys, and she's keeping an eye on both of you. If either one of you look back to where you know Fade is hiding, she's going to follow you.
Okay.
So.
Then yeah, as
Yeah, 'cause
Ink's
I'm keeping
walking,
tabs on everybody.
as Ink's walking back down towards where the sharp-dressed man is, he kind of glances up in the tree and keeps walking.
Okay. Meanwhile, heading towards the front of the area, there's like a sort of more of a tent city, because the guard have, you know, actual equipment or whatever. And there's like various, you know, sort of, you know, like armed members of the guard with like long spears sort of walking around. And there's, you know, like a sort of like a small tented area where there's like a table laid out, and you can see there's a map on it. And as you approach, there's like a sort of moment where the guard are like, "Uh-oh, it's a person," and they're like, "Oh no, oh," and they're like sort of getting out of your way, and letting you sort of walk forward, and sort of he sort of looks like a combination between like someone who's like grizzled and old and good at his job, and also like, you know, sort of the guy who chases Smokey and the Bandit, like sort of, he's a little bit portly.
Jackie Gleason?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you good guy with this goddamn chant. But no, he's just basically, he's clearly like a skilled soldier, but who has had nothing to do really for 20 years. And so he comes around and he's like, we'd heard rumors coming up the line that there were phoenixes here. I was hoping for more, actually. We're not entirely sure what we're going to find on our way to the capital.
Yes, indeed. Well, the only one you need is me.
Well, I suppose I can't say that's
I'm like
not
all
true.
the way away, and I'm just like,
He gets a little twinge. Like,
I'm covered for you. I'm covered.
Will you open that again for me, please? Thank you, Matt.
yeah, whatever.
Concecia over here.
Don't let her be a part of our wing ever.
He can't dispute that, so he doesn't.
Anyhow, we're sent here, and I need information. Anything you have, anything strange happening? Can you give us some details, some information about what you came from?
Well, I'm embarrassed to say that the Chance and I never saw eye to eye, or looked each other in the eye. We didn't see eye to eye. We didn't get along.
I didn't agree.
No,
I'm following you.
I never had a chance to. I never had a chance to look the Chant in the eye. Unfortunately, as soon as the outbreak came, we already had protocols in place, and I rallied my troops together and we began to take refugees heading towards the capital. Obviously, there's some concern about what might be waiting for us on the road, even though we don't know what causes the chant or why the chant strikes. The chance of a bone attack or some other sort of dread incursion between now and when all these innocent people in this line can make it to the city, it's quite high. And of course, we also don't want to drag the chant down a big line of people from our town to the capital itself.
It's fair enough. Is there any trouble along the way? Have you had to take anybody out?
No, I mean, there's the occasional looters or people trying to take advantage of the situation, and there's a fair amount of city urchins here who are doing their best to sort of survive in the way they know best, but in this circumstance, it can be quite disruptive. We have had a couple of fist fights, but mostly because, people came running out of their houses with their mistresses only to find their wife here in the line. But beyond that, no, it's been pretty cut and dry. Is there something in particular you're concerned about?
Not in particular. I'm just looking to see if perhaps you have anybody I did notice not too far off there were some people who looked a little bit more unruly. Are there folks who came out of prison? Do you have anybody in chains currently that I can speak to?
Oh, well, we haven't had any prisoners that officially joined the group. There was an attempt to bring people out of the prison, but my understanding is that it fell to the chant long before we could get any actual soldiers there. There are definitely a few people here who I would say are probably a member of our town's criminal element, but as far as I'm concerned, as long as they're not chanters, we're all on the same side.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, do you have a group of trusted men that I could speak to?
Well, anyone that I trust is here in this camp, and then we have people about every mile down trying to keep an eye on things just in case things go wrong. Of course, as you know, if the chant were to break out here, we would have no defense against it. We don't have any of those fancy soldiers you Dawn commanders have who are all immune. We're all particularly at risk.
Well, then what's your defense in place? Are we just walking for another day until hoping that the chant doesn't come?
Boy, you're great at this, huh? Unfortunately, yeah. That is our defense. We're hoping it doesn't happen. Although it's great to have phoenixes here because in the event of a situation, we're going to leave this right on you. Now, if you don't have anything more you need to ask me, I'm going to return to my camp and try and sleep the night so I can take these people to safety in my weak and terribly ineffective way.
Good, sir. And I lean forward a little bit. I would like to make a proposition, if I could. I think that for safety concerns, we should try to break up everybody here. We shouldn't be walking in a long line. There should be groups of people, perhaps 50 in chunks, breaks in between, so that way if the chant does happen, it won't spread to everybody and we can contain it. I mean, I know that I'm just coming here and taking over, and clearly you're very apt at everything you're doing, so I hope I'm not infringing. But I think it might be a good idea.
At this point, you realize that, like, you know, every one of his guards is, like, all around. They're not, like, mad at you, but they're, like, all like, oh, shit. But he kind of gives you, like, a weird look and then thinks about it for a second and says, do it. Do it fine. Do what she says. When we leave in the morning, hold a few miles of space between every, say, mile of people. She'll coordinate. She knows what she's doing. She's the only one we need. Now get this spotlight out of my camp so I can sleep. And he goes back and lays down, and his soldiers sort of, you know, like okay, you know, like, fine, and then like they take out a map and they're like trying to, well, we have about a mile worth of these people, but we have these people that came from this ward and like sort of working it all out, and they follow your lead, and they're like, you know, and then like every now and again one or two of them will be like, wait till he doesn't think their fellow soldiers are like looking at me like, thank you so much. You're such a beautiful golden goddess. Oh my god.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, you would not believe what the other devoted occasionally goes crazy and turns people into her like footstool servants.
Yeah, that's what happened last game. It was great. And then she died.
Yeah, she basically like forced an entire town's worth of non-combatants to like fight for her as her own personal army.
Come, my followers.
Yeah.
Bring her food.
The power of faith.
Yeah, yeah.
She's like sitting on a throne made of them at the end.
Oh my god.
One of the many things that can happen when the fire inside these guys goes wrong.
Yeah.
So this is
nothing
definitely
like donations.
Yes. Speaking of which, we haven't covered it yet, but you can donate to change the way this game works. You can donate with XP or cash to give redraws, which to the table. We have some here. Redraws allow them to draw a card when they need it, which can really mean the difference between a spread that works and a spread that doesn't. You can also donate to add environmental objects to combat. In a combat, the Phoenixes can use environmental objects to gain all kinds of stuff, including another card drawn. So it's sort of the good value for your money to add an object to combat. These guys will definitely use it. And then the last thing you can do, and this is cash only, and if you go to our donations page, which I'm sure one of the mods can link to you, or Sean, if he's not busy calling you garbage people. Okay, not right now. You're on reprieve. You can donate to activate the flares of any of our Phoenixes. We don't do that to new players. If you come back for another session, we'll develop the flares for your character, because there's the positive flares, which give you cool combat abilities, and then there's the negative flares, which give you really terrible social abilities.
Oh, no.
So, for example, you can make Varya wolf out, and then the rest of the Phoenixes have to do their best to stop her from pulling the throat out of people who get her angry and things like that. Or you can force Ink to disconnect from space and time, which makes it hard for him to do things when he is ahead and behind of different people. It's a great little role-play experience for both of us.
I actually wrote a journal entry that's on savingthrowshow.com. I don't know if it's out right now, but it kind of explains how that works. It's like he's on the inside of a ball, and that ball is space and time, and he's kind of bouncing around from point to point. Sometimes he can control it, and then sometimes he's just bouncing around inside the ball.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah.
So there's the times where he can be everywhere at once if he needs to be, so he can be giving someone advice because he was also in the future and the past. And other times where he literally has to answer things that are like 5 sentences later in the conversation, and we have to sort of find a way to make that work. So those are both available. I think it's $8. Those are donations. If you make 2 donations today, that will bring you up to, that will get us to our donation goal for this month, which means Sean in the chat will give you all some bonus XP for that. Thank you so much. For this month, for some reason this is the last day of September according to our donation thing. So hey, we get an extra day. Tensor's floating goal.
Extra September.
I'm ready for October.
Well, yeah.
All the October.
Yes.
Man, the first time I heard that Green Day song, "Wake Me Up When September Ends" or whatever, I was like, what a dumb thing to say. And then I realized I always think that about September. September's terrible and October's great. And
you go back to school in September in England. That's not. That's the
oh
worst
shit!
month.
Oh wow.
Largely in
thanks.
America too. Well, no, I guess that's August.
Depends
East
on
Coast.
the
On the school,
But I feel like September is just a shitty time.
Yeah.
Generally.
It's a nothing month.
Yeah.
There's
Nothing
nothing to
really
recommend it.
happens.
Yeah, and October always has a lot of cool shit on the horizon, and then
September is just pre-Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although I have thought that they should make an election year version of that song, which is "Wake Me Up When November Ends." Because at this point, I am so fucking ready for the election.
Just over.
Yeah,
Ugh.
and I'm also ready for us to agree as a people that the person who loses the presidential election gets fired off the planet in a rocket ship. Because I don't care what side of it you're on. I hope you agree with me, but you don't have to. I think we're all tired of that other one.
Right.
There you go.
That's
You're
fair.
fucking right.
Would that be Jonald?
Yeah, no. I mean, in my case, it is definitely. I think a person whose name is Donald Rump should be removed from this country and planet. But that's not necessarily. But if you think otherwise, you agree with me on that person too. I remember back when it was Bush Quail or whatever, and I was like, meh.
Yeah.
I mean, I was also in middle school, but I was still just I was like, I like this guy, but I kind of like this guy, but whatever. I think this is the right
the
choice.
options didn't seem dangerous.
Yeah.
between
Right.
them.
And now,
Bush versus Dukakis.
meh. Yeah,
It's
and
become a reality show,
Yeah.
but IRL with a lot of lives at stake.
Yeah, now it is just so much more. And also, the best thing about the election season being over is not having to deal with the fact that my Facebook feed is 99% bullshit.
Oh my God,
We can
yeah.
be friends with everyone
I feel
again.
that the color orange should be reserved for Halloween stuff and not skin tones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be happy you don't live in a swing state where it matters.
Yeah.
See,
That's
for me,
true.
I always thought living in a cyberpunk dystopia would be cool until it was actually kind of
Until it was
looming on the
proposed.
horizon. Yeah.
You know what? I think
Yeah.
I'll skip that.
Canada's prime minister is pretty cool. So.
Oh, Justin Trudeau.
Oh,
so dreamy.
Trudeau.
My boyfriend's
guy.
in love with that man.
I'm in love with that man.
Yeah, I think
Me too.
everyone's in love with that man.
Like,
But
everybody
and
is.
Justin
Can he come
Trudeau.
and be like
guest
he
president?
Over, yeah,
Can
guest
he just
president.
take
He
every?
oversees
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, his
think it's a good
incredible political technique of being kind of good at everything and nice to people.
Yeah, it's amazing,
And,
right?
and also just
So
being
weird.
fun, like that. I don't like giving BuzzFeed any attention because I'm fucking tired of that website. But he appears on BuzzFeed where he reads things people have tweeted to him and then responds, and it's kind of clear halfway through that he's over it. He's like, ugh, God, why did I do this? But he's still chill and cool the whole way through.
That's amazing.
Whereas, I feel like any American political candidate at all would have just thrown the phone down and
Rage
been like,
quit.
I decide this to be dumb.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It's a good
And then they
sentence.
shoot off guns in the air.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You made how many millions of dollars on this?
Yeah.
America.
America.
You guys ever watch The Kids in the Hall when
Yeah.
when he did that thing this is America, and at one point the line is peeing out of the back of a fast-moving truck in America, and I'm like, yeah, God, that's more and more relevant now.
Oh, Kids in the Hall, you had it right.
Yep.
Also, my
Best
favorite
shows.
line in all of Kids in the Hall. You are American, yes? No, I'm a Canadian. It's like an American, but without the gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kids in the Hall, absolute genius. I feel like I hate this is our Dark Sun tangent of the day. We're allowed it. It's 6:15 or 6:17. I hate that. I hate being like the cranky old nerd, right? Like I don't want to be like I went to the comic book store uphill both ways, and it's snowing all the time, which is
you
actually
did.
true for me because I live in Maine.
I remember
Yeah,
when
right.
comic books raised up to $1.
Yeah.
Right?
But on some level, I do think there's occasional media, and it's all based on taste, I know, but I feel like there's occasional media that you should force young people to watch. And Kids in the Hall is one of those things that I feel like
too.
everybody should watch. Yes, this is a good time to take a restroom break, but all 4 of you aren't allowed to leave at once, so the 2 of them get to go, and then you can go.
Why was there a sudden exodus? How did that happen so
It's just
quickly?
because this
Is their
is
mental link? They were
this
just
is
like,
like
whoop, whoop,
the
whoop, let's go.
drinkiest show on Saving Throw. That's not true. It's
drinkiest.
Saturday, and also I've been here all through Dark Sun drinking Tall Boys. I'm amazed I don't have to pee yet. It's yeah. Phoenix Dawn Command tangent. Thank you, Farquaad. Yeah, I do think Kids in the Hall is the thing that everyone should have to watch. Kids in the Hall. Because especially when you're like, man, SNL's not good this year. You're like, no, SNL hasn't been good forever because it hasn't been Kids in the Hall.
Yeah. My father, I was obsessed with SNL when I was younger, and he's like, and he buys me the whole set of Kids in the
Right,
Hall,
yeah.
pushes it forward. He's like, this.
Do you still have that? Can I borrow it?
I do.
I need to
You
educate
can.
myself.
Yeah.
There's also the British like 2-man sketch shows like Mitchell and Webb and Armstrong and Miller. I don't know if you watched
I
them
haven't,
back when
actually.
before you expatriated.
Made the
Brian
swim.
Laurie.
Oh yeah, Fry and
Yeah.
Laurie, epic.
Yeah, I do love those two.
And that it's one of those things too where it kind of like Key and Peele is the American equivalent. It's the best we've
Love,
gotten.
so good.
2 guys who have a lot of ideas, who will play a lot of characters. Totally works. Yeah.
Yeah, they're excellent.
How long have you
Comedy's
been
kind
here?
of gone up and down, I
6
think,
years.
the last few years. I think
Yeah.
that there was a real dip after, like, the Will Ferrell Absurdist, and then there was, like, weird gap where, like, after Mean Girls, where it was kind of like, what's funny now? Let's make dramedies, because we want to cry in all of our
went back
humor.
to TV. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. It did turn into that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm one of those
I mean, I'm
comedians
digging
who's
it.
like a purist. Like all of my favorite,
Goof?
no,
Just total
like
goof?
the more absurd and the
Excellent.
less nonsense. Like that's why.
You'd like my early YouTube videos.
Yeah. Well, my favorite comedies now are all kids animation shows, like Adventure Time or Gravity
Oh,
Falls.
yeah, those are great though.
Because
Those are
they're
fantastic.
the purest form of comedy right
pure.
now. There's no like adult
true.
comedies, all depressing and sad. Are you all depressed and sad? Is
Yes,
this
at the core, at the very core.
Easy to make a mumblecore movie.
a mumblecore? Is that
Mumblecore.
what people call it? That's
I'm
wonderful.
British, so I revel in complaining and being upset. Like, if I'm not, there was once a thing I heard that if a British person is not complaining, they are not happy. So,
Very British.
How long have you been in this country?
it's 6 years this December.
6 years.
Oh.
Yeah, it's my 10-year YouTube anniversary next month.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do like a 10-year
I'm
video?
gonna do a little video. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
right.
Hello.
Shall we
Right,
make
they're
our
the
rounds?
same.
Would you like
Do
to
you
make
want
that's
to
a good
go?
idea.
Yeah.
just in case?
I'm gonna plug of all the things. Cosplayer Jessica Negri had her 1 million sub video. I think the thing I like about Jessica Negri is that she's well aware of where her fan base is coming from. And so she had people tweet her things to do in her video. And of course they were all like, show us your boobs.
Right.
But she managed to find a way to like satisfy all those requests, but without
Perfect.
doing exactly what they wanted.
Perfect.
And that is to me like the true genius of Jessica Negri. She knows what's going on.
Yeah.
She's gonna pour
She's not
molasses
stupid.
on herself at some point, but like she's gonna do it her way.
Yes, you better respect
Love
her
that
for
about
it.
her.
Absolutely.
Can it be like an homage to You Can't Do That on Television, where just a bucket of it comes
She's
down when
definitely
she says,
done
I don't
that.
know?
Yeah.
Okay. Another great Canadian show.
Yes.
I'm gonna go home and watch Kids in the Hall now. I bought the entire box set for Ryan at one point, and that show is so fucking good. But some of the sketches are just standouts. I really love Girl Drink Drunk.
Oh,
Yep.
Girl Drink Drunk's a classic.
That one's really good. And I like the zombies.
I was gonna do that for Comic-Con one year. I didn't do it.
Really? I
We're
love
safe,
that.
but for how long?
Yes.
Uh,
Well, and anytime I get to watch Dave Foley in a dress, I'm pretty happy.
I went to go
he
see.
was he was the second most attractive woman. I think Bruce McCullough was the most attractive woman.
No, I would argue Dave Foley.
Really? Well, agree to
He
disagree.
also had to wear a dress in News Radio, which was also awesome.
News Radio is my favorite sitcom of all time.
It's such a good show.
I went to go see one of the things about LA that is great is that occasionally like rando shows will come through here, and the Kids in the Hall did a live reading of their first episode at the Center for Inquiry here in LA, and I went to go see it, and there was a Q&A afterwards, and at the Q&A, I asked Dave Foley, I'm like, listen, I was being real honest with him. Apparently, this is like shortly after he had gotten a divorce and was like really busy.
Oh, it's bad too, because I watched one of his stand-up things after that, and it was the most bitter stand-up thing. I had to turn it off because I'm like, this is sad. I can't watch this.
But also, he was basically like trying to find any woman with a pulse. But anyway, that's fine. Good for you, Dave. You deserved it. I was like, hey, listen, I was actually after the show, and I was like, Dave, you're my favorite comedian. I love your show. I love news radio, and you're always depicted with coffee. Like you make jokes about it in news radio, but you always have coffee. And like 2/3 of the Kids in the Hall sketches, he's got coffee. And I'm like, and so as a stand-up, when I started doing stand-up, I started with a cup of coffee, and I would write my set on the inside of like the part of it that he couldn't see, and I would drink coffee throughout my set. And I'm like, why did you have coffee? And he goes, oh, it's real easy. I love coffee, and I hate rehearsal. And I figured out that if I wrote coffee into every scene I did, I could drink coffee through all of rehearsal. And I was like, oh, that's kind of great, awesome. Like, I'm like into that. So, yeah. The Kids in the Hall, just mind-numbingly important. Oh, and the Nerdist did a thing. I think more jaded me would have hated this, but the Nerdist would have done a thing where they have all the Kids in the Hall sketches on YouTube, and then afterwards the Kids in the Hall are like they're being interviewed by Chris Hardwick, and they talk about that sketch. Definitely worth watching.
That sounds interesting.
That's so cool.
Well, I like some of the really just random ones.
Yeah, you don't have to get it open for you.
All right.
You know, there's just some beautiful.
I've heard of this. Very good.
Delightful random episodes. Like I like the running gag through one of them, and he's standing outside somebody's house. Lopez.
Yeah.
Lopez. And he like ends up like burning it down, and it's not even in there. It's like. But I love that about that show.
MC Sir Simon Milligan.
Yep.
And
And Hecubus.
Yep.
Yes.
There's the one where
evil.
there's the one where the guy calls it, he like, refuses to accept that he has a wrong number.
I remember that one. That's amazing.
30 Helens agree. It's so good. There's
That's one of my
The
favorites.
really weird ones where you're like, I'm not sure if this is funny or not. Like the chicken lady and Cabbage Head, and you're like, not sure if want, but
Head's so
can't
weird.
not
right.
watch.
And then you look at Scott Thompson was such a different comedian than them. So he just wanted to do that. Like he wanted to do like Buddy in the bar, which is funny, but it's a very different show.
Yeah.
Like modern executives would have been like, no, too different, Scott. We love it, but we'll put it in a different show.
Yeah.
But like he just wanted. I don't know why I was like doing fucking.
Well, he did the whole Explore Scott one at one point where it was just like panning shots of like his body, and it's like, okay.
Did you ever see? This sketch was written in haste.
Yes.
It's my favorite, where they do the whole sketch, but like there's all kind of like he's like, hey, welcome to the like house. Take those rubber boobs off and have a seat. And it like pans down, and he has like big like foam tits on his feet, and he's like, and he goes, you can have a seat on my favorite chain, and he like indicates where a chair would be, but it's just a coiled chain. And then it goes, this sketch was written in haste, and it cuts back to a guy like typing quickly and like omitting typos.
That's great.
And
So
funny.
The book,
very
it was the
smart.
scariest book, and it just said like boo.
Boo, yeah.
yeah.
And he was stressing about writing the sequel
No,
to
there's
that.
a spider on your back. Is the scariest.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And he was trying to come up
No,
with the next
no,
one.
Boo was the
Oh, was
first
it?
one, and then
he was trying to come up with the sequel.
yeah, the spider on
now.
your back. Because then there's the audio book that
Yes. Okay.
person gets in
But
the car
you know,
wreck.
like
Anyway.
he's written down just like boo, and the
Yeah.
other he's like, oh, it's terrible. The show was
All right.
so good.
I need to rewatch it all.
Enough navel gazing.
Yes,
All right.
all
All right. Anyway.
Fantasy storytelling.
All right.
Bad.
So
Yes. Things are happening.
I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to investigate tonight before everyone sort of goes to bed, and then you'll leave tomorrow in the sort of groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
You've got more
the
investigating
two
to
of
do.
you will do the investigate. You're just going to keep an eye on the soldiers, and they don't do anything suspicious while you're watching them,
Okay.
especially because you're you.
Yeah. Well.
After
I'm gonna try and look
sorry.
like I'm paying attention to a lot of people.
Go ahead.
After I give the notes to all the maps, I'm guessing it doesn't take too long. I just make rounds and I walk around and spread my light and try to get, again, just make it easier for everybody else.
Okay. No seasonal
Affective disorder.
affective disorder while you're around. It's getting there tonight.
No
All right.
sad. No sad.
So the two of you are
Love it.
looking after the well-dressed man.
Right.
Oh, I should note that when Fade jumped down from the tree, she went back into the teenage urchin look.
Yeah.
Because when she's fighting and she goes all black, that's when her transparency comes into play, and she can't make herself invisible, but she can kind of blend into the shadows. That's how she's able to hide. So every time normal people see her, she has to look like a normal person.
We're gonna get along just fine. So once we kind of start making our way to him, Ink starts leaning on you. Oh, I don't feel well. I don't feel well at all. And we're kind of lurching towards the well-dressed man and his people, and everybody's kind of like, oh, can we help you? Can we help you? And then I lurch forward and I reach out for the well-dressed man and I use psychometry because I want to figure out why he's not affected by the chant.
Okay.
I couldn't have told you the story I heard either.
There's
That would have been a little much.
No, there's more to it than that. There has to be.
But I'm just saying as well.
Yes.
So you traveling back through the visions of time as you're connected to him through psychometry.
This is what psychometry
yeah,
does.
thank
By the way.
And you see him in Mardenford. So you see Mardenford, right? And like, I'll lay this out as the audience at home would see if this was TV, right? So you see Mardenford, and you're like, oh, he said he was in Mardenford. That's fine, but it's actually not the Mardenford of the pre-chant outbreak. It's the Mardenford of the post-chant outbreak, and he's actually one of the soldiers from Mardenford that traveled in. Like, he's one of the immune soldiers that traveled into Mardenford. He was one of the, he was 100 soldiers down the line from the four of you when you went into town, and he's sort of like, and you can see him like watching the you guys discussing the chant, and he's like present at the battle where he can see like you guys finding the shard, and you can see him sort of like basically like fanboying out about all of you guys, and so his connection to Mardenford is true. He was in Mardenford, and he wasn't in any way like unique or special. He just decided to sort of be like a guy who fought the chant, and then you cut forward to him, and he's later in time he's tracing back how the shard could have gotten to Mardenford in his own little house, and he's got like all the string. Yeah,
The beautiful mind.
He invented string, then dyeing it red to do this.
How was your clothing put together otherwise?
You're all wearing like togas.
Yeah, still
Yeah, but you
threads are in
can't-
its basic core.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
I've become him.
And he's tracing it back, and he gets an idea that there might be there might be a movement out from the Shadow Walled, and he actually like you can see him like circling the fortress city that you guys were in. And being like, there might be something there, and then like cutting to him like with like someone like running by, like, did you hear? The fortress city was attacked, and the Phoenixes went in and cleaned it out. And he's like, yeah, oh, good, great, and he walks in, damn it, so close. Like he's like going back, and then basically he gets a lead that someone might have traveled from where he thinks in the Shadow Walled the shards come from to the city and arrived late. He never actually went into the city. He just got close to the border and then moved into the refugees once the chant hit.
So he might actually be helpful.
Exactly. So as I'm getting up, oh, thank you, sir.
Fade runs over. I'm sorry, my father's not feeling very well. Helps him stand up.
Father.
She's a teenager.
You're a cloak. Come on.
No, right now I'm not. And then as soon as I kind of get up to his ear level, I'm like, we would have words. And then I look at him.
And what, like, fade to black for a second?
There's a little effect there, so
Like
he understands.
80s TV show Fade to Black.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So you continue the ruse off to the roads a bit.
Yeah.
Come on,
And
drunk
then-
father. Come on. Let us go.
Yes. Oh. So we really need to work on our teamwork.
And after a fact, he sort of comes out to you, and like he's looking around to see if anyone's around. Says, oh well, when I saw Varia, I knew you guys would be here. He goes, I might have seen through you last time you were here, but I could also see through this disguise.
Well, I'm not an actor by trade, but we're here to protect people, and we thought it was better to keep a lower profile as we can, of course.
Well, I appreciate that, and I thank you for not revealing what's going on. I've been Well, ever since I saw you guys fight these terrible chanters, I thought I might use my immunity for good and try and track something down.
Appreciate
Never
it.
thought I'd bump into you four again. Although, is that Eerie? I don't know how this works.
No, this is Fade.
Oh,
Fade is a Shrouded like myself, only her powers are slightly different.
interesting. Hold on a second here.
And I'm guessing you've debriefed me about the drawing that you've got and everything.
I haven't actually shown it to you. I haven't
Okay.
shown anyone. I haven't had
Okay.
an opportunity.
Great.
Yeah.
So-
you guys have been following your leads. I'm just holding my little sketchbook.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So chat. The
chat.
most terrible manifestation of the dread is the chat.
Oh, no.
Once you get started, you can't stop having side
no-
conversations.
Although I want a talk show now, it's the chant chat.
The chat.
Chat.
Starring this guy. All right, chat. What is this guy's name? It can just be one word or it can be two words. But what is the name of this random soldier who survived Martinford and then traveled back with our soldiers? What is his name? And he's gonna become a. You guys are gonna have to take care of him. Sorry.
That's
You
fine.
guys are.
Yeah, I know. I'll jump on that proverbial hand grenade.
I imagine I'm keeping an ear on all of this as well.
I know what you think you've seen, and, well, I think there's more to it than either of us understand right now. You can be incredibly helpful in preventing any further outbreaks of the chant. You've been marching with these people for a while now, correct?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't even get your name.
His name is Bob Whiskers.
Cute.
The advantage of keeping an eye. So, okay. And Farquaad thinks his name should be not Bob. His name is Bob, not Bob Whiskers.
Great.
Here, if you want to draw him, Max, you can. You can just draw a smiley face.
Oh, I hate that so much. And it's +2 versus chant, that is?
He's +2 versus anything chant, as he is a chant expert. So
Cool.
he will join. He will now. He's now officially a part of the team.
Cool.
Protecting innocence is interesting because if you have one, if you're currently protecting one, and you take more than one wound, one of those wounds has to go to the person you're protecting, which kills them. So you basically have to either sort of get between them and all their damage, or accept their death. So Robert, not Bob Whiskers, is your chat expert. That's the chat for you. What is one of the defining features? What is a way that Robert, not Bob Whiskers looks? Chat.
Oh yeah, tell me after I'm started
No, it's
drawing
fine.
something.
It's you know.
Anything they come up with, you probably wouldn't want to draw.
True story.
It's a flat guarantee that whatever they tell us this person looks like, you're not going to want to do it.
I don't know, but I'm gonna give him like a mustache because whiskers, right?
Yeah.
But like half of one.
They were burned
Well,
off.
It's
half,
like
half
me,
of it
it's
is
thin.
whiskers and half isn't.
It's like me. His last name is actually Whiskers, but people are going to still ask him, "Is that because you have a bristly mustache?" If you're like, "Sax, you must play the saxophone." No, I don't. Oh, and they're always hurt by it. Like everyone I meet is like the CEO of a saxophone company, and they're like, "Oh."
Weird.
But then your last name is also easy for them to snatch
All right,
up
so
too.
we're not going to go with real cat-like whiskers, but we will go with he has a top knot.
Top knot. Oh my god.
A man bun?
He has a man bun.
Okay, that I can add.
All right, I'm moving this narrative forward.
Anyway,
Thanks, chat.
For
you're-
nothing.
you were saying he's now the love interest from Mulan.
Yes!
You may be more helpful than you even know at this point. We've been trying to discover if there's anybody in this crowd who might be carrying a shard of the chant, and I kind of let him know what we've discovered as far as there being like pieces of a puzzle. And this is what I've been able to discover. Fade, what have you found out?
He just told you everything.
You haven't told him about the men that you saw that were
No,
having
I
the same
haven't. I haven't
conversation.
told him, but I don't know this guy yet, so
Okay.
I don't want to tell him.
Good. He'll tell you that. Well,
There's a look. Like,
I've been tracking movements to and from the area of the Shadow Wall, which I think might be the origination place of chant shards. I have little to prove it, except for the fact that you can track every chant outbreak back to it if you follow enough steps. Turns out I'm a little better at this than I thought. But
Just gonna trust my hand on it.
But very sharply dressed. It's a weird picture,
great.
man.
Titans
Oh,
might
yeah.
not. He goes, but I think that a shipment traveled here from that area not a few days ago, and I traveled as fast as I could up from the capital. I had moved there from Mardenford after I deserted, which no one needs to talk about, and I
I didn't mean to, but sure. Dramatic Foley.
and I traveled here to see if I could head it off of the pass, or who knows. And by the time I got here, there had already been an outbreak, and I basically decided that I didn't have what it took to fight the battles. And I also kind of didn't want to bump into a bunch of other phoenixes who had questions. But now I have. Things are great. But I've been doing my best to help people. It turns out that I'm good at that too.
Bob, you've many gifts that you're not yet aware of, and I won't tell anyone that you felt the need to redirect your energy. You said it came in a shipment. Have you talked to anyone in the group who might be a merchant, who might still have, God's forbid, part of the shard in their possession?
I don't think so, and I also don't think it would be here. Like I think once the shard is activated, it stays with the champ. So they may have other shards, which is terrifying, and we're heading to the capital, which is doubly so. But I don't think they have the shard itself. I think that shard is probably still in the town.
All right.
Max, I don't want to do this, has become fantastic already. He's like, oh no, it's terrible. It's terribly great. All right, so
Full of lies.
if anyone is not checking out Max, do you publish your comic outside of like your Facebook friends?
It's on my official Facebook fan page because I'm a douche that has a fan page, and it's on my. I usually post that I have a new one up like via my Instagram, but you can't always see it very well because Instagram posts really tiny pictures and I don't draw them that tiny.
But yes.
But yeah, you can go to my actual Strange Like That Facebook page, and those are on there. I've only done 3 so far. That's just
Black
She-Wolf of
Phillip one
LA.
is one of my favorite things in the world.
Well, this is a sign of your talent. Wow. Follow her. She's
That is
good.
great.
Because I cannot draw.
Throw on the card cam. There you go. That's Bob, not Bob Whiskers.
So good.
Um,
All right, Bob.
It's perfect.
Hold on,
Oh, it's
Did we
great.
catch it?
I love it.
I want you to return to your people tonight. Listen for anything strange that you might hear, and please let us know.
Oh, yeah,
Fade,
that's a bad part.
I think we need to use this night to do a little more detective work.
All right, now it
But
says
now
also
it's
not
Bob.
Bob. Although I should have made it a pun and made it not Bob with a K.
oh yeah.
Oh.
Not Bob.
Oh, that'd be great.
I quit. So yeah, Fade's gonna blink out, Ink puts his hood up, and so we both kind of fade into the night. In
Okay.
front of Bob, not Bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's seen this. So you're both hidden now. So you have the hidden condition, and you can travel along tonight. So throughout the night, I'll give you some information based on what you want, but we're not going to role play anything tonight. So what do you want to find out tonight?
Fade's gonna run off and she's in the shadows. She's gonna dart around, see if she can find the group that she sketched their faces, and just see what they're doing, see if it's even worth pursuing them anymore.
Okay. They've moved into the tree line and like sort of camped separately. At this point, nobody's like no one imagines that anyone in the line of refugees is responsible. So no one's like none of the innocents are going to be like fuck those people. So they're sort of marching on their own. As while you're hidden, you basically are like full on invisible. So you can sort of travel from like cover to cover with no mortal will ever see you.
Right.
And you travel up and you can sort of get close to them, and they're all like very quietly giving each other sort of like knowing looks, and like they've. But one of the things that you notice is that they have like well packed equipment. They have like. Like they're opening up like there's like a mess kit and a DOP kit, and they're working things out, and like things are all in their place, and they have like once they've gotten clear of everybody, like they sort of have like actual camping gear, and they're full on camping. And,
Very prepared.
yes, they're very prepared for this miraculous outbreak.
I'm keeping tabs on everybody, and I noticed that she's moving somewhere else. I'm going to move a little closer to them, not enough to be suspicious, but since I have really fun extended range on my ears now, see if I can catch anything that they're saying, because she's obviously very interested in what's going on over there.
It's even hard for you to track her when she's hidden, but you were able to get there, and you, they're not talking. Like, they're just sort of like giving, like, you can see them sort of like giving each other knowing looks. It feels very regimented and prepared. Like, these are people who, this is,
I don't like it.
this is sort of, you know, them doing what they've planned to do, and it's all sort of, you know, a lot of like nodding, like, yep, things are
Are
going
there
well.
do they have any logos or brands on any of their armor, tents? There's nothing to set them apart from anyone else, apart from the fact that they have good gear.
I mean, they have good gear that's well packed and well prepared. They're dressed different culturally from members of the Alonans, and they also have like, and which is sort of darker in continents. Like, they have like darker cloaks, darker clothes. They're I would say well dressed, but don't think business suit. Think more like sturdy clothes.
Okay.
And they are, you know, they just have a way about them that isn't the same as these refugees.
So Faye opens up her sketchbook and writes "Boy Scouts?" ? No, she just observes, and then she pulls away. She's still kind of interested in them because they're acting strangely. She's not sure if they're involved in what's going on, but she thinks they're interesting, and that's obviously what she does. She's interested in interesting people, so
Okay.
she just keeps that to herself. She's gonna come away from the group. She sees you, and she comes over and just quietly shows you the sketch, gives you a quick lowdown on why she's interested in them. It says probably don't waste too much energy on them. I don't think they're involved, but they might be.
I'll listen in the morning, though.
Lovely.
So they keep you in the top, like, front camp as best they can, or like they keep you around the soldiers because they're going to need you to like implement the sectioning of the line.
Sure.
At some point, like sort of in the middle of it, one of the soldiers comes up to you and is like, "So, are we going to be okay?"
That's a good question.
I'm really glad I'm not up there with her.
You're gonna be fine. Like, whole, like,
Shut up, stop
all
complaining.
over face.
Protect you.
If you're asking me if you think that you're going to survive, I can't promise or guarantee that, but what I can say is that you shouldn't fear death.
He's going to interpret that in his own way, which takes many months for him to unpack.
Good,
Eventually.
you sent him in the
As I look off into the distance and my eyes kind of cross.
And then at some point, somebody is like, "Can you turn it down? We're trying to sleep." And then like,
If I may, after I kind of divvy out my directions and just kind of try to put some worries at ease, I walk out of the camp and I walk as far as I can, and just looking for anyone and another Phoenix on my team, just to try to do some recon, just to get some information.
You can, I mean,
easy to find.
yeah,
Yes.
she's definitely. We don't know how tall she really is. She won't confirm it. A werewolf never tells. But she's definitely a head taller than most folks, so you can see her, and especially you, and you can of course see her because it's like, you know,
I'm a walking
a light
beam.
ghost. Yeah.
What time of night is it right now? Are people kind of going to sleep? And
weirdly enough, you're all extremely aware of what time it is because like dawn has become like sort of a Pavlovian experience for you, where you get like reinvested with like health and sparks and everything. And it's probably like 1 or 2 in the morning at this point.
Speaking of which, I'm putting those for psychometry and I'm taking them back.
as I'm walking down and I catch you, I pull you aside and I ask, is there anybody around here you think that I should approach with my good graces who might be afraid of me? Perhaps feel disturbed by a presence of somebody who's in alignment with Dawn.
You know, I think compared to
Are you talking about yourself?
That you're going to probably be a lot less intimidating to anybody. But we do have a couple of groups under suspicion that we're following right now. I know for a fact the Scavi soldiers over there have been lying about why they're here and how that went down, but we don't know exactly why. We have that suspicious group over there that keeps shying away from stuff, and they are keeping to themselves. So those are the 2 groups that we're keeping tabs on, but we don't have enough information yet. I mean, if you want to get close and see if they shrink away from you, go nuts.
Yes, if I
But-
could approach perhaps and try to see and make sure that the light is spreading within them, see if they're uncomfortable with me saying that.
Right. Well, make sure I'm close by, because if they scatter, don't want them to get away.
No, if you could, I would prefer you to be nearby.
Who do you want to approach
Imagine them moving like
first?
cockroaches, or literally, like.
And I kind of,
Scamper.
try to say, if any of those other members on our team are hiding within the shadows, tell them to follow along.
You're like both there next to her. Like,
Tap, tap.
Yeah.
Fly. It's a really big
Yeah.
fly.
Get your own light in your eyes.
Actually, you see this kind of weird inky text appear in front of your eyes. It's like, we're right here.
You can't smell them?
Yeah.
Because I can't.
Yeah, fun fact,
Sorry.
phoenixes also don't bathe.
Yeah.
Ever.
well, you die frequently enough that you tend not to have a full day of like sweat on you at any given
They
time.
smell like dawn.
So
Like
with
dishwashing
that,
detergent?
and
Yeah.
hopefully with
Okay.
the rest of the team kind of not far behind, I begin to approach. I want to approach the ones that are not speaking, the ones that we have less information on.
Okay.
I whisper as you're going over, perhaps stop by a couple of other groups just so it doesn't look like we've singled them out.
This
And
is
I
not a
do-
good thing
I
because Sax is
follow.
writing down environmental effects.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so we're just getting ready. No one needs to read into anything. So you head over towards them. They're sort of in like a separate camp.
And I, as I hear the whispers from the shadows, I go over and I kind of approach small children along the way, trying to be as, stealthy in my own way as I possibly can be.
Yeah. So you
subtle, I think.
yeah,
is the
you're
word
very
we're
subtle.
looking
No
for.
Thank you.
no one has any suspicions whatsoever.
What? Who said that?
So you head over to them, and they're all sort of like they clearly see you coming. And many of them are asleep. At this point, it's quite late, but like you're walking over, sort of.
With a huge smile on my face.
And they
Well,
all, they sort of eye you, and everyone sort of gets up. You can see, they're like waking each other's up, and they go, well met, Phoenix. We hadn't expected to see phoenixes in this exodus. I'm glad you're going around and making everyone feel safe.
Oh, I'm doing the best I can. How are you feeling? Are you feeling safe now that I've arrived?
I love and hate this character.
She's so great. She's so great.
We
Jesus.
Love
feel
you, but I want
as safe as we can. We're looking forward to making it to the capital and
Well, then
being
blessings,
free.
my child. And I put my hand on him and I just try to radiate some light energy into him.
They're not really into it, and you can see like everyone's getting like a little nervous. You can see like they're starting to like rifle through packs like in the back line. It feels like things might pop off. There's like a bit of a tension. What do you guys want to try and jump ahead of anything, or let it sort of happen on its own?
I'm going to stay where I'm at in between these two groups so that I can help head
Get there
things
in a
off,
hurry.
but I can't really. I'm not a comforting presence. Apparently she isn't either, but I'm not a comforting presence.
Fade. I was just going to say, Fade notices that, because she's hiding, but she notices that people are starting to get a bit uncomfortable and she can feel the tension rising. So she very quietly does a little whistle that these guys know that means be on your toes. This doesn't look good. Something feels bad.
Okay.
Just so we get the jump.
I feel like I maybe start kind of moving around them, like quickly, shadowy, to kind of destabilize them and freak them out.
Okay.
I mean, is it genuine fear that's coming up from them,
They're
or just discomfort?
no, it's fear. I mean, they're not like they're definitely uncomfortable with being looked at in a way that is like not just sort of like generally like they're just this isn't a bunch of socially inept people who are like, oh, attention.
Don't look at me.
Like these are people who don't want to have their lives examined, and they don't like having a giant beacon of dawn in their so they're sort of like talking a little more. And do you persist? Are you gonna stay there with them, like sort of chatting them up?
I comment on how they seem very well prepared for the trip.
Okay. They're gonna break. So like they basically like the one that you're like talking to like sort of like runs off behind you.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So I have superhuman reflexes
we
and
knew this was
athletics. The minute I see one of them take off, I'm going to move to intercept.
There's like 6 or 7 of them though.
But
so
there,
which
I
one?
imagine like if I can, we need to get at least one of them.
Okay, you can get your hands on one probably.
Okay.
So go ahead and spend your superhuman reflexes. Just go ahead and discard it, and you can draw up. And then what action are you gonna take? Are you gonna like make an attack action to tackle this guy, or are you gonna like?
No, I'm gonna probably just strong arm, just try and like
Okay.
get him by you know his clothes, like back of it. I'm trying not to hurt him at this point because we
Okay.
don't know the intentions yet. But definitely like he's held back and he's not getting away.
You can either make a grace or a strength spread, but it has to be one or the other, and
Okay.
make it to sort of like safely, remove him from combat.
Okay. I guess I'll go ahead with the strength spread because that's gonna make the most sense here. How high do I need to hit? Because like I can go. all the way.
That isn't bad. That's an athletics check basically, so you're already
Yeah.
at 15. So go ahead and discard those, and you can draw up. Combat hasn't really started yet.
Okay.
And
Not really.
and you. Oh crap! Hold on a second. Just realizing now I don't know where my torches are. One second.
Are there any more of those root beers available?
Yeah.
Did we? Ooh, nice.
One left.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
can I have one of the beers
Your
left?
alcoholic reflex.
Unfortunately, they're all gone.
Thank you. Thanks.
Why don't you grab me whatever one is lying around over
What do you
there?
need? What do you need?
A beer
Oh,
of a type.
there's
a Tecate.
Tecate.
Oh, and it looks like there's actually another root beer. Or a vanilla cream ale.
You want that one?
Oh my
Um,
goodness, vanilla cream ale.
You want that one?
Here, we'll leave it for you.
No.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, can someone pass the tall boy?
Sure.
And then isn't there one of the ones you brought last week over there?
I love
the
You
this.
want in on that?
I'm gonna love this.
What am I looking
I think I might like this
Thank
more
you.
than that.
Is this?
Are-
Oh, did
are
you
done?
already
You
pop
need
it?
to open it? Or you're still?
I mean, like
I
for
haven't
yourself?
drank it yet,
Okay,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, the Tecate is for Sean.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're beering it
I come
up.
prepared.
You really do.
Sorry.
Yes.
Do you want anything?
Nope.
Oh, I'm good. I'm still drinking this. I'm going slow.
Huh.
This is
Okay,
gonna
hold on.
recover
Oh wait, do I
really-
have it in this pile? Sorry guys, this is to find you a torch and then we're gonna go. I mean, we can always just like
I
substitute
I
a
was
torch,
I was
but
sick earlier.
I like to use the official torch. It's a great game. Let's not.
Yum.
Glad you're okay.
Ooh, that's delicious. It tastes like Christmas.
So, I feel you. I feel you.
Look at Christmas at your house.
Oh, it's awesome. It's very
Take
sparkling.
care.
We've actually got a tradition. We go to the 99-cent store and we spend $50 on the most disgusting, tackiest ornaments we can.
I
We
love
get the
this plan.
shittest tree we can. It's really big and malformed, and then we just throw it on and make it look horrible. And we're like, yay! We had
sounds
like
great.
Cheez-Its on top of our tree last year.
It's wonderful.
So yeah, it's great.
That sounds fun. Yeah,
fun.
I decorate for Halloween and then use that for Christmas. Although my house
Perfect.
is always sort of Halloween.
I like that.
For several years in a row, our tree topper was a Wolfman plush.
Excellent. I like that. Very
That's
nice.
amazing.
Yeah, my house is always in Halloween mode. Though. Like I go out to all the Halloween shops and I buy decor for the year.
Yeah. You're one of the people that's affected by that meme. It's not like, oh, the Halloween decorations are out. It's like, oh, the house decorations
Yeah.
are out.
Yeah, I got new dish rags at Spirit the other
yeah,
day
'cause they're
that
so
have
cute.
little Grim Reapers on it and
Yeah.
it says "Killing It."
I saw those. I wanted to get them too. That's so
Yeah,
funny.
they're from my oven.
Just have it
so
every year
funny.
round.
We're a little spoiled too, because despite my thinking that he has done many a sin against movies, Rob Zombie's costume store in the Valley and like the
Ooh.
two
I've been
parts
there.
of it
It's
are,
great.
it's fantastic.
Great.
Wait, does he own Halloween Town?
Uh huh.
Halloween Town's
Oh,
great.
wait,
they
I've
actually
been
have
there.
3 shop
I
fronts
didn't
now.
know that.
Oh yeah,
I didn't
and
realize that.
Yeah,
so
they
not-
have home decor, adult costuming, and kids costume store.
and the adult costuming store, the term adult, fuck you,
Always
porn industry.
sounds- yeah.
You,
Always
you
sounds
can't
sinister.
own the idea of being adult, although there's probably some stuff in there that's quite erotic. Just saying.
Yeah.
But like the adult, like you go to like adult costume stores, even in LA, that aren't that, and you're like, it's like, hey, it's a Flash costume, and it's just like flush. And it's got like a blue lightning bolt, and it's like the weird
my
padded
God, I
bullshit
love it.
costumes,
That's
But like you
brilliant.
go to Halloween Town, and you're like, wow, like that's like a
Legit.
I would be
Proper,
happy to wear
yeah.
that. Like it looks
Yeah.
really
Only
cool.
thing
Yeah.
is,
Yeah, it's expensive, but
Yeah,
like
it
if you want
is.
to get a cool
Worth it.
mask
You
or
use
whatever.
forever,
yeah. But the
yeah.
home decor, like so good, and they're open year round
Yeah.
because of course people are doing we live in
Because
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
well, the
Yeah.
whole strip of Magnolia is amazing because that's where all the vintage shops are as well.
It's one of my
So it's
favorite
one of the
parts
best
of Los
places to go.
Angeles. It's a wraps there. All of the
Just kidding!
fantastic-
Don't ever go there. Stay
I'm
away
gonna go there tomorrow. That sounds
from
great.
Magnolia. That's my
How
place.
many cards in a deck is starting at?
About 20. It is 2 each of 2, 3, 4. from both suits. So you have 4 2s, 4 3s, 4 4s. You have a bunch
12,
of different
16,
traits.
42,
Yeah.
19.
A bunch of different traits
Need a
there
witness
are
in this
handpicked, and then yeah, so that's it. So it's about actually more like 15, I think, but yeah.
Okay.
So I just snagged one
All
of
right,
the guys.
so you grab one of the guys. You're able to. He's immortal, so you're able to like sort of pick him off the ground. And he like is clearly clutching like a bunch of sort of like items in his hand, which like spill onto the ground. But the other guys are all going off in different directions.
Okay.
So you can count that as you can have the torch.
Okay. Well, as long as I have him, you know, I'm gonna pull him in really close to my face. And, what are you hiding?
And he doesn't like that at all.
Runs down his legs.
Yeah.
Cries.
Subtlety is not part of your strong suit, guys.
Oh, yeah.
And he sort of like struggles to say something to the effect of like, it's awake, and once it's awake, you can't stop it. And then he sort of like becomes insensible.
Is there anything around nearby I can like restrain him with so we keep him somewhere?
I mean, you can like there's
Why not just break his legs?
I mean, I can make him unconscious. I can just like bonk him against a tree.
yeah,
you know,
sure,
Yeah.
go ahead. So yeah, I mean he's either unconscious or dead. Remains to be seen.
I want him to be unconscious. You gotta bring somebody back.
You definitely intended him to be unconscious. We were all here when you said it.
I already got out of time out once, so.
So yeah, so you like smash him into something. Pass the torch if you want, or take other actions. You can't really like. I'm not gonna let you get to another one of them this turn because you dashed over to one of them. So what again? I have to let you.
Ruin everything, Sax.
Boo!
All right,
You'll need it.
I'm gonna try and run after another one too. I can't do much.
You were like right there, so you can either make a grace spread of we'll say 10. Can you do a grace 10 to catch one?
Kind of.
Or, or you could make a ranged attack if you want to spend a spark. You can just full on blow one to death with terrible magic ink if you feel like that's necessary.
I'll make a grace spread. I've got 9, using heroic as a 3,
Okay.
and I'll burn a spark.
All right. It's you. So you just stop being where you are and you are at him, and you've got him wrapped up.
Yep.
He's also holding like a bunch of sort of like random ephemera in his hands, and what do you want to do with him?
I want to just intimidate him and get him to kind of stay in place too.
Okay, make a grace check. Sorry.
Okay, well I just drew up because I thought that was going to be my last.
Well, if you want to just hold him, then it is the end of your turn.
That's all. That's all.
All right, so pass the torch because it's just basically.
Who wants it?
I'll take it.
All right.
I'm going to use Shrouded Bond to zip straight to your location to assist you with whatever you need. So I think it takes 1 spark.
So there you are. Do you want to take an action while you're here? He's basically at the campsite, so you could make it to another one of these guys.
Oh, I could?
Yeah, easily. You could.
So I could run. I think I'm pretty small. I don't think I'd be able to take out a guy by myself. So
Well, you're a phoenix, though. You can
Oh,
jump
that's
like 30
true.
feet.
That's
Like
true.
you
That's
you
true.
might
I'm
be
as
small,
strong
but
and
you
small.
have like the power
Like
of
Mighty
1,000
Mouse.
dawns inside you.
I mean, you
Okay.
figure like Eerie is basically like the kid from The Ring and can
Yeah.
take down guys.
He's a
like
terrifying
nobody's
8-year-old.
business,
So like you
Okay.
can, if you want to, you can.
Well
Yeah.
described.
Your average attack would kill any mortal.
So she's not going to do that. She's going to stay close to Ink in case he needs help. She's not going to go after her own individual
All right.
person.
Last in order. What are you gonna do? So then, like, you have the guy right in front of you who's like trying to scramble away. You could easily catch him without a spread.
Okay.
But then you'll have to do something with him. But then there's also the rest of the guys who are all running off in different directions.
This is not going to end well.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take the one in front, then I can just hold him down
Okay.
against the ground.
Make a grace spread.
You may have crushed the back of his
A grace
skull in.
spread?
Yeah.
Great.
But
But I mean, again, there's 2 options. You can make a grace spread
But I stopped him.
to like try and hold him back because that's sort of your sort of default, or you can fall into one of your combat styles. And if you fall into passing pain, you can actually just
Yeah.
attack him. But that will probably kill or maim him.
Attack.
Okay.
I attack because
So
it's
you're-
the only thing I can
wow,
do right now.
that is very not Idalia.
All right. So you're in passing pain. I'm
Yes.
assuming. So
Yeah.
we should
Have
always
some
have the
light,
one you're in
motherfucker.
on top.
Attack.
All
Okay.
right. So go ahead and make a 2 intellect spread. So 2 intellect cards
Yeah.
is your attack. And you don't have any wounds to transfer to him, so you're fine.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
Which is not much, but I think I have. Nope. I can. Nope, because that's with healing. All right. Unfortunately, that's
Oh,
all
it
I
sucks
can
to be the
do.
healer because you can't heal people to death. Although you don't have much trouble here because like
Okay.
basically he starts to run and you're like ah, and like gold energy just blows him off like into like shards of like of person.
And also in combat, at the end of your turn, you draw back up to your card limit.
Yes. Okay. So I just kind of
that
viscerally am
ends.
like, all right, let's get rid
So-
of one of them.
Yeah.
So you captured 3 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them sort of like runs off into a crowd of people. Another one runs forward, and basically like as you see, as like one of them turns back and sees like one of his compatriots like turned into like a fine red mist as permeated by gold light. He sort of turns back at all of you and says like. He says, "It's awake. It sees you. It knows what you did. It's coming back." And he takes from one like the items he has. He takes out a chant shard. You can clearly see it, and just sort of like holds it up and then starts chanting. And basically, you can like see like everyone around him like what chanting, and there's a chant mob around him almost instantaneously. So in play are innocents, who you would like to not have become chanters. There are a couple Imperial soldiers around here, and then there is
I'm freaking
2
out.
chanter mobs present.
Fuck.
You can,
I just had a funny idea. Sorry.
by the way, if you notice, the chanter mob is a different color of the innocent
Oh,
card.
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's
Show
great.
the chat. It's,
Yeah. All right, so
Huh.
there's the innocents. And
That is so
there's
cool.
the chanter mob.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
That's clever.
Great art.
Okay, so let me get you some environmental objects here.
Oh my god.
Bad. Horrible.
Let's see.
Okay.
We've had stacks. We've had tripods. We've had racks. Let's see here.
I love battles, but they stress me out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm ready for this.
sure you are.
Faith doesn't like fighting. She likes extracting.
Protect Bob!
Well, maybe you can be on keeping those innocents from.
Oof.
I don't think it's that Varia likes fighting. It's just what she's built for.
Yeah. Fade's very built for
The
scurrying
thing
away.
she can be effective at.
Okay, so there's gonna be 2 pages of this, but first off, you've got innocents. You can actually, if you want, you can put a chanter mob and an innocent and an imperial card on the like card thing. Just leave them there face up so people can see them, and I will do this side of them over here. So you have innocence, which you can use as an action in part of your actions, not necessarily as weapons. There's a pile of weapons. There is a campfire. There are tents. We're gonna put 4 on this one. There's a fallen tree. There is. Oops, sorry. There is a one of the. This is from the chat. This is from Tronha, and he has said that one of the people in the refugees is an artist, and lying in the ground is his painting of Donald Flumph.
Put it in the campfire.
Just kick it on the way past.
Oops.
Oh dear, what happened?
Put my foot through the canvas.
Jeez.
5 times.
You just take your whole action.
Yeah.
You become so enraged.
There you go. So those are your environmental objects. Let me let's see here. So this is the first time you've seen a chanter mob like sort of form from, absolutely nothing, and it's amazing how quickly innocents fall to it. you, of course, don't necessarily fall to the chant when you hear it at all. In fact, you can be affected by the chant, but it only ever really sort of damages you. Like, you can't become chanters necessarily, which is why the chant is an option. If you want, you can speak the chant as you hear it. You'll take the chant affliction into your body, so you'll eventually take damage. But while you're saying the chant, chanters don't see you. You basically, as you all know, because they fought chant a lot, but you guys as your wing has at least been in one chant battle, and so you know that if you say the chant, you won't get attacked.
So it's like being in a zombie world and going.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But in doing so, you put the chant spell into your head, and it will hurt you eventually, and in a sort of unescapable way. But innocence just basically for every 10 people, 20 people, there's one person who's naturally immune. There's maybe 1 or 2 people who have survived the chant outbreaks and they're immune, and the chanters who immediately start chanting fall on those people as and then they see someone who's innocent, who's not chanting, and they pull them down and rip them apart, and they're beating them with limbs and stuff like that. The chant is in a foreign language, or the chant is in a mysterious old language. It just happens to be Pyrean, the language that phoenixes speak, which means you can hear what they're saying. And it's basically it's like a dirge. It's like an old dirge, and it amounts to it's telling the stories of all these people who were killed in a war. And then the chorus says something to the effect of, and now you will now you will tell their stories too. Now you'll be part of their story.
And then every time somebody joins the chant, a new verse is added.
Yep, and so it just evolves and changes.
Whoa.
And there are there are 5-year-old kids chanting, there are old people chanting. It's terrifying, and it just goes out from where that guy held up the thing, just. And you can see one of the other guys has a chant shard, and he's yeah, and then a chanter tackles him, and that chant sort of stumbles off, and it doesn't activate, and then you can see there's one guy running further up the line towards the front. Now, thanks to your activities, I was going to wait until tomorrow to have this go off, but we'll say thanks to your activities, there's actually already space between these areas. So this guy's going to have to cross a mile of empty terrain to bring his chant shard to the next group.
Puppy fetch.
But you're not in motion anymore. People are still in camp tonight.
Yeah.
So he only has to go about a mile's distance, and he will find people sleeping. So someone's going to have to take care of that.
You run fast, right? Yeah.
Well, I was going to do something else, but then this got way more escalated than it
Yeah.
had been.
May I?
Yeah.
Want to go first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say out loud in
That
an
I'm
ethereal
into this.
voice, try to protect the innocents as best you can, Fade. And I'm going to take the chant on, and I'm going to run over and try and pick up the one shard that wasn't activated.
Okay.
Okay. You're able to, once you have the chance, you...
Discard, right?
Yeah, put it in your discard. You get that affliction t-shirt. Okay, so once you so you're saying the chant the whole time, and again, you only can hear what people are saying out loud, right? And the chant's different every verse, but you somehow follow the next verse as you're saying it, because the chant sort of fills your brain, but you're able to run right over that last shard, pick it right up. It's not active, you don't need to burn it out.
Okay.
And you can just sort of take it into your possession.
Absolutely.
And as soon as you put it into the sort of, the folds in the cloth of your uniform, you can tell that it's out of play.
Okay.
Incidentally, there are shards at both of your feet, but you can grab them for free
Yeah.
because you both dealt with someone.
And gotta go
immediately.
after that guy
Yes.
who's running.
So pass it.
I have a question for the mechanics. This guy that started off the chant, if he was disabled, would the chant be disabled, or is it already spreading?
He's just
So
the
it
chanter
wouldn't
now.
help.
He
Okay.
basically suicide vested. He's the
Got it. Okay,
he's
okay.
patient 0 for this chant.
Got it. Okay.
Alright. So I'm gonna go after the guy who's running and try and take out chanters as I go. Since shit has gotten serious, I'm gonna go ahead and Vari's gonna go ahead and lean into the beast a little bit more. So I've got a higher attack.
I'll say your legs snap backwards. To
Yeah.
The Shroud style.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and then that way she can maybe run a little faster, but as she goes, she's gonna go and scoop up the pile of weapons.
Yeah.
It's there. I have to now. and basically try and use those to just stab into people as I go, and clear the way so I can go after the guy who's taken off running.
Okay.
Can I go ahead and move these?
Yeah. Or place on them if you want. Either way, whatever's better.
Okay. It's a lot of cards to pick up. Go over there.
Put them with Al Thulu over there.
Yeah. Okay, I've got your favorite and mine, crude but effective.
Every time.
I also have ruthless.
Go for it.
All right, I'm just gonna go into this thing, and then I have to math.
Maria regularly puts 20 plus on the table.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna go and play
Don't
that.
take this as a like a this is not the bar you have to
14,
cross.
23 on total.
Even with the wound
Or
added
22.
to this? Did you add with the wound?
No, so that's actually 27.
27, and then another...
No, that's I factored that in.
Oh, 27 in total?
Yep.
Oh, wow, damn. That was fast.
Okay, 27 minus 3, which is their defense.
24.
So 24 divided by 3?
It's 8. Yeah.
And I'll make that brutal damage, so we'll do 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's almost halfway through a Chanter Mob right there. So the terrible
That's what I do.
whirling dervish of fangs and fur that is Varia, like, takes a rack of weapons and, like, throws it through a bunch of them. And they're not even necessarily out of commission, but they're, like, pinned to the ground in trees. And then she's, like, tearing off heads and moving forward. Do you have anything left to make a grace spread to move through the pack? Remember, you're going to draw up after this, so you can... and did you draw from both those traits you used?
No. Do I draw from the traits, though?
If they said draw a card, they usually do.
Oh, let me see which ones did.
And did you draw from your pile of weapons?
I did not. So, okay, I have pile of weapons draw, which I hadn't done.
So don't draw up yet, because your turn's not over.
Yeah, I know.
So.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah.
Draw one card.
Yep.
So I get one from that. And let me see what the other one was. That one does not allow me to draw up. So, okay, I had a couple cards. So grace spread. Still suck at that. So.
I have the ability to, when a wing makes a spread, I can discard a card in my hand and help.
Sure.
So,
go for it.
Because I have 2 grace right now. That's it.
Anything you do grace-wise will get you closer.
Okay, so I got a 2.
yeah.
You're
You
like,
can discard, and that gives me another.
I'm going to give you 3.
yeah, she can do that. She's rank 4.
Okay.
So just put that in your discard pile right away, as opposed to...
Do you have something?
Did you make the target number, or...?
There's no real target. It's just like the more grace you have,
one?
the further through the
Closer.
crowd you'll get.
Seen this before. We've
right.
dealt with the champ before, so as I kind of see her running off, I'm like, Varia, be careful!
All right.
No!
So take your 3 grace back and put it in your discard, and you don't draw back up because
Yes.
this is combat.
Yes.
And then so what is that? So that's
That was
1
3.
to 6.
6.
6. Okay. Unless you want to burn 4 sparks, which is a lot, then we'll just call it 6. You basically get through a bunch, but like you're basically like passing through like person soup. So like even as you're like throwing people away, there's still more. You know,
Yeah,
there's
it's a lot of sparks at one time.
yeah. So you're pushing through it. All right, and they're gonna attack. So both these Chanter mobs.
Can I go ahead and draw back up?
Yep.
Alright.
So this is a defense spread for everyone because there's enough. Oh wait, you're still hidden.
I'm still hidden.
This would be a good time to have that Shadow Wolf ability.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, Chad.
This is a defense spread for everyone who's not hidden, which is everyone
My
but
defense
you,
sucks.
Fade. So you need to make a defense spread of, it's a standard spread, so get as close as you can to 7 to avoid damage.
Okay.
And your combat style will tell you what kind of spread you can make. So you're still in this combat style?
Yes.
So grace cards.
Great card.
All
Grace
right,
card.
I'm using 3 grace and then untouchable, so that brings me to 8.
You're fine.
I've got 4.
Okay, so that is 3 limps, so 2 wounds.
Yikes. All right.
I'm allowed to, in my talent, I am allowed to use any suit. So I'm going to use my intellect and then my 1 grace, which has a card value of 5 when used as a defense.
Okay,
There you
So,
go.
Nice.
you're good. So you're fine. So you 2 are fine. They managed to claw and stick and stab Variel on the way.
Can I go ahead and put the fear on them, so
Oh,
they
you're
have
gonna
a fear
fearer
condition.
them? Yeah,
so
all
I'm
right.
gonna fear them.
Okay, so one of the mobs is going to start taking damage from fearer, which is like fire, but made of fear.
Am I
so-
allowed-
So now she's a giant-
Did she take wounds?
Yes.
She took
Am
two.
I allowed to burn a spark to transfer those wounds to somebody else?
You got to do it on your action to take them from
Okay.
her,
Yeah, you take
Alright.
them in,
and then you have to
can
attack
My
someone
action.
to lay them on.
I see it's my action. Cool.
So
That
who
was
takes
a
the?
reaction.
Who's going to? So you've gone.
Go
And
go
you've
ahead
gone.
because I think you're needed right now.
Me? Okay.
I'm still
I
hiding.
mean, this isn't bad for me, honestly.
All right. So
You're
so
our main
what
weapon,
I'm going
though.
to do is I catch that. I don't know if the chant is technically a condition.
It's not. It is an affliction.
Okay, cool. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I see that she's been damaged. So I'm going to burn a spark to transfer those wounds. Let me see 1 second. Am I allowed to draw up or am I, no, because
you're
the
not.
defense was the one round, right?
But we have redraws somewhere under these things. You can always spend.
Yeah.
Spend
by all
them. That's
means.
what they're there for. So if you want to grab a couple more cards.
I had to think about what I want to do here.
And don't take too many, because I actually do really well if I've got a couple of wounds on me.
Yes.
It activates a lot of my powers.
Yeah, at this point you might be pretty safe. So take
Yeah,
one,
I
two.
would maybe wait and take them a little later, because I'm definitely going
You're
to
talking about the wounds?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
once
I-
I get past
so
a
can I
certain
withhold?
threshold, I hit
Yeah.
more.
Withhold, and I guess I'll just make like a
Oh, that's right.
like a general.
Once I hit halfway,
I'll
I
just
start doing
I'll
force
just
damage automatically.
I'll just like scream for everyone who's nearby that seems to be innocent. I'm just trying to wake people up. Like I'm just screaming on the top of my
Okay.
lungs.
I'll take that. You don't need to do an action for that.
Okay.
So I'll say that like the innocents are like moving further away, like trying to get ahead of the chant. But you still have more than a few actions to do. Like if you want, you can make a spread and try and knock some of these chanters down. They have a defense of
have
3, so
such
you just
a-
need to be able to put.
And
Definitely.
well, there's also the innocents are an environmental object, which would
Oh.
Oh yeah. So go ahead. Actually, you just
Oh.
you
Yeah,
just
you
said
just did
innocents. So
something
check
with
check
them.
that off.
Yeah.
And you get to draw a card. 'Cause
Okay.
you-
So I'm like trying to scream and push them away.
Because you're
Cool.
So draw a card from that, and
You're
Alright.
using
then
them,
That's
and
better.
it's kind of clearing the way for you
yeah,
to do so.
and then you don't have to stay in this combat style. If you want to, you can flip to your other combat style.
I'm gonna stay in this one because I'm grabbing a lot of intellect cards.
Okay.
But I can use, I guess technically speaking, I can use this 5 intellect to try to whack another one of those guys that I see in the distance.
Okay.
I can technically use this too because I'm just going to be drawing, which is Sun Spear. When you use this card, an attack spreads it out as a temporary talent. And each time I make an attack spread, I can burn a spark to add additional grace card from my hand to the spread, but I don't have any
Okay.
grace cards, but I think it remains a temporary talent.
Okay, so you basically like activate this ability. Go ahead and draw a card from it because you've used it.
Did you draw one for the innocents too?
She did.
She did.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead and draw a card.
A card. Okay.
And do you want to add that to your spread? Your spread is intellect, so like, if you have another intellect card, you can still until you're.
It is
until the-
another intellect card.
What is it?
It's draw one card. It's supernatural senses.
Oh, okay, so you can always use traits on anything if you can make them apply.
Ooh, this is
So-
really good.
Should I do it now?
I would.
Remember, you're
because
going to
if
draw
you
all
use
the
it-
way back up after this.
Well,
After
and
you're
if you
done.
I
use an
do
attack spread,
brutal
you deal brutal damage.
Until the end of the round. So, all right. I guess I will do that one as well because I'll deal brutal.
And does it
And
draw
then
you a
I
card?
draw one card,
Okay.
which
and,
adds 5 if I
and you
want
can
to
add
add
that
it.
to that if you want because it's because you have that ability going. You can add
yeah.
grace.
So it's 1.
I would add
7. Okay, yeah. 7 plus 5.
Okay.
So 13.
13. All right. So that's 10, which is 1, 2, 3
You
more
wanna take
ranks
it
off
out
that mob.
quickly.
So it's brutal damage, right?
Yeah,
So
and
one
it's
more.
brutal.
All right. So you basically well, tell us what happens. How do you use light to blow away this mob
Well,
of chanters?
it's a sun spear for this one that's like evoking it. So I just like take out just out of thin air, a huge spear comes out, radiating light, several of them, and it's like one after the other, and I toss one, and then I toss another as I'm just whacking away at them.
Beautiful. All right, so you take them all down. Go ahead and discard that and draw back up. You're next. You're the last in to take the torch.
Great.
And
So pass
they
the
act after
torch
this.
To the next person.
So right now there's still
Yeah.
chanters and innocents
then I
around us,
draw.
right?
All kinds of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Oh, I don't have any more cards.
Well, then
Fade
you go
has
ahead
been
and shuffle
hiding in the
these,
shadows
and then actively take all of
and
those.
seeing
Yeah.
everything that's been
And then
going on and been
shuffle
having
those and
having a very
start
quick
again.
think.
Thank you.
She looks over and sees this painting sitting there of Donald Flump, and she notices
Well
that
done,
the
Jack.
metallic parts on that painting look like a mineral that she's come across before in her investigations that can be explosive. So she grabs the painting and she screams, "Everybody run!" And she throws the painting on the campfire and it causes a big explosion. It's a loud bang and some innocents are able to get away from all the
Okay.
chanters who were stumbled by this explosion.
Make a grace spread to activate that. You can cross off the painting of Donald Flump.
Got it.
And a campfire ring.
Flump, by the way, is that thing that's holding a crumpet in that picture. So it's that, but Donald Trump.
Do we get to cross out campfire, or
No,
is it one
because
at a time?
you only use one at a time, which is good because that leaves the campfire for
Great.
someone else to use. So,
I like how you looked at me when you said that.
yeah, well, you know. So draw a card
Oh, okay.
from
Oh, yeah.
using an environmental
I may have
object.
kicked a campfire once.
And so this is what you're going to do with this spread is like push the innocents further away. So the more grace you can put down, it's a skill spread, so you can put down 3 cards. The higher the grace you can put down, the further they'll go, which means the chanter mob won't like re-up by like taking innocence into itself. So that will keep me from adding health levels to it.
And it will also be saving the innocents because
Yes.
she likes to do that.
I also want to point out
So-
that you are very close to the fang level of her, and she paid for hers.
I know.
This is doing pretty good.
That's why we got along when we met. When our characters met, we were like, hey, hey.
What's up?
So, do you think I should go really big on this or go kind of medium on this?
You're going to draw up after, remember? So no
Yeah,
matter
go
what.
big.
Go big?
Yeah.
All big?
Yeah,
With
Keith-
this, absolutely.
With 3?
Keith Baker, the game designer, absolutely encourages big actions.
Yeah.
Let alone right now,
Right.
Yeah.
the potential for this outbreak to get worse
Right.
is huge.
Yeah.
So Fade is very, very concerned about the innocents. She definitely cares about innocents. So
Good.
Somebody has to, I
put
guess.
yeah, she's put a lot of
Somebody
effort
think of
into
the
this.
children?
Not me.
Anybody? No? Okay.
Saying it.
Children are our future.
I believe children are our future.
So what do you got? Tell me.
So we got a
Did you
9.
just say you?
Do I add anything from here?
Nope. Oh wait, no, it's a skill spread. No. So yeah, so you're fine because it's not lore, spycraft, observation, or deception.
Right.
So you throw the painting into the fire. There's a huge explosion. You
The
can
game
see
is getting
people,
ready to start
even though
about
like the
misbehavior
chanters are
tonight.
making a big racket, chanting and like you're throwing people around. This is the loudest thing in a long time, and you can see people like miles away in the other camps like getting up and seeing it, and then you sort of like push your phoenix essence out of your voice, and you can hear yourself saying like, "Get up and run away!" And people are like, "Okay," and they're like, "We're on
Sounds
it."
like a plan.
All right, so the innocents are
Great.
gonna, so I'm gonna go ahead and not.
Bye,
You're gonna
Felicia.
buy yourself. We'll
Auf
say.
Wiedersehen, Felicia.
I'm gonna say two activations of the chanters that aren't going to bring them in more
Felicia.
folks. The folks in this group that you're in right now, they're sort of beyond saving. They can't outrun the chant. They're gonna all, you can try and like grab someone, run them out, but like that's it. So you can make another. You can go until you can stop making spreads. So if you want to do something, if you want to attack the chanters, if you want to become
Oh,
hidden.
right. Oh, right.
So you can use an environmental object to become hidden.
Yeah, and you're going to draw up at the end, so you might as well use what cards you can.
Yeah.
Use what cards I can.
You can hide
Yeah,
behind the
there's
fallen
no
tree.
need
or
Can I
hold
tent.
that.
draw again if I knock on another
Yeah,
one of these out?
sure.
Okay. Well, in that case, she is going to jump behind the fallen tree and get down low and try and hide so that she can't be seen.
Draw that.
Yep.
And do you want to make another spread, or do you want to call it and draw back up to 6 for you?
I'll just become hidden, I think.
Okay.
Do I have to do something special to become hidden? I do, don't I? No.
Nope, you did it. You did environmental
Okay.
object is all
You're
you did.
hidden.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So draw to 6,
Excellent.
and the chanters go. Out in the floor right now are all 3 of you. This is an attack of 8.
8. Is this our defense? Am I allowed to burn 2 sparks to flip my card and up
Yeah,
my
I'm
defense?
hidden again. Thank
Okay.
God.
And these are my sparks,
Oh.
correct?
Yep.
All right. So,
So give them to me,
alrighty.
and you burn them. So yeah. So you just need to hit 6 in a gray spread.
Okay.
I'm using a reroll.
I like being able to hide.
Or a
This is
redraw.
nice.
All right. Thank you, chat, for that redraw. Keeping pieces alive since 2014.
Okay, so there's 5 for me. If I'm using Heart of the Wing, so if anybody wants to use 1 spark, that'll bump me up to 8.
And
need
want
a
to throw a
spark?
spark? There you go.
Thank you.
So
there you go.
your fellow Shrouded puts you over. I'm already like
Thank you, Fade.
so thinking about doing an adventure where it's like training day, where it's like two of our regular players at like their high rank and 2 guests at rank 1, but who are in their school. Where you have to like show them around.
Yeah.
This is what it's like to be a bidder. No, attack it! Don't run away. Take the damage. You'll love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to use.
Denzel-style monologue.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And that will be Michael Holmes.
I'm going to use. I technically have 2 defense, but I can play 2 grace cards on my on my defense. So I played my 4, but then I go 1 up and I use inspiring, which allows my wingmates to draw an additional card.
So how are you inspiring in this defense?
As I'm screaming it, because I've been like screaming, run, run, and then I say, but have fun.
That's both terrible and
Just
wonderful.
card cards?
I love this character.
Go ahead and draw a card, everybody.
That's the anti-chance.
However, that is
Life's
2
great.
plus 4
Everything's
plus
rad.
1 is 6,
Yeah,
7.
7.
So you're going to take. Oh no, wait. 1. Oh no, wait. It's times 2. You are going to take a wound from this.
A wound, okay.
They sneak 1 in.
Okay.
And while you're saying fun, like a chanter like stands up and slaps you across the face.
I deserve that. Okay.
Just put one of the black ones either in place of or on top
okay.
of that.
All right.
Your
After this
wingmates in the
defense,
rear.
I'm probably going to need
Oh,
some
I
of those
see.
wounds to go away because
Yes.
all I have is horrific vision, and why not make them exposed at the same time?
Okay.
Because they just put a hit on a werewolf and they're not going to be happy.
Okay,
with
so that reduces the defense of the chanter mob to 1, which means you should be able to take it out.
Whoa.
And that's going to put 2 more wounds on you. You're right.
Yeah.
Um,
So this is now the time where healing, taking wounds would be good.
You have 2 Phoenix actions before they act again. That's how it goes. And
If I may.
chat.
Everybody okay with that?
This is so. What the wonderful
What?
Varia has done in full werewolf mode
that was
/
fun.
berserker mode is basically put herself in a situation where she can no longer defend at all because you're berserk and you're exposed. So she can't make any defense spreads, which means she will die immediately, pretty much, unless her wingmates save her. But you can save her by donating for the Shadow Wolf ability, which will give her
Ooh.
1 defense card per turn, which is at least something.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so if you want to donate for Shadow Wolf, also we're still real close on that donation bar, which means you'll get close to getting some extra bonus XP. And we got 5 rerolls, but they could always use more.
But yeah, if somebody wants to do something so that I don't die, that would be great.
Yes, don't let her
Sadly,
die.
I have another plan.
Okay.
You
I'm
don't
just
need, you
throwing
don't
it
need a
out
rank
there.
5 Varia next game. To
Although,
do.
man,
Yeah.
although I would get to use my new power, which would be awesome, but kind of also sad.
She is just a walking. She's just the word werewolf.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like one of those like Marvel movie location space, like just the text werewolf,
Yeah.
big bold that just like wanders through. All right, so who's gonna take the torch first? Okay.
Everyone's screaming.
I am going to try and seize this distraction with people running and chanters being crazy and stuff to make my way to the activated chant shard and try and deactivate it.
Okay. So what are you gonna do? What does it look like?
Well, you know, it kind of goes into slow motion, and there's, you know, a little bit of fire in the background as the painting of Drumpf explodes. And, like, I
The
can see
chant.
Varia, like, kind of get cornered, but rage! And I see you throwing sun spears at people, and I see you trying to usher the innocents away, and I...
From behind a log. Go that way!
I just flip up my hood and I kind of coast over like a ghost to the chant shard and kind of hover over it and I just start.
All right, 25 sparks, please.
All right, let's make this happen.
Okay.
How many are you going to throw in?
All of them.
You're
Gonna
going to
burn it
burn
out?
out this early?
Hey, it's 7:30.
I got
how many-
13.
You have a shrouded. That's 23 from you because you're using your last one.
Okay.
So
two sparks.
we need 2 sparks from the wing to
So
burn out
basically
the-
what I'm doing is I'm killing
Mario?
myself to render this relic inert.
No, we didn't have a conversation.
You'll meet him back in the Empire. All right. All right,
man.
They
so
might survive, although they
And-
might both be coming back.
And it's great, and the music swells, and it's very dramatic, and you can see Ink kind of screaming as he burns out, and then just...
all right, so you we'll imagine that even though you guys you're phoenixes and you don't really sort of nothing sways you, but we'll say because their experience with the chant more than you guys are, like you're starting to like get it's starting to get a little bit hairy as like there's like chanters have like the collar of your shirt and they're pulling you down and you're throwing sun spheres as best as you can, but like the waves are coming higher and then you can see in the corner of your vision, like Varius pushing them away and then Ink grabs it, and you just see this burst of phoenix flame, and then all the chanters just go, and all the chant mobs just drop. Now, of course, this reveals that, half a mile across towards another pile is one of these douchebags running with a chant shard.
Yeah.
So,
The guy on
Yeah,
Jason?
get it,
You got it?
Let's go.
Shit. Right, how can I get over there?
Looking
I
at
had
you,
a plan.
chat.
I'm not sure it'll work actually.
Sorry, no one's going to take any damage next turn because the current...
Yeah,
there's no
range.
current,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can still use a little bit of oomph.
Oh yeah, I'm right there behind you.
So Fade was very disturbed by what she just saw, but she also has excellent vision in night, and so she sees this one guy running away, and so she's going to use her
Satisfying.
ranged weapon
Epic.
to
So
try
I
and take
felt
this
last
guy
time,
out.
even though
Okay,
I was-
make a spread.
They thought
Make
it was ridiculous
where's your combat
and
style?
unnecessary.
No.
Combat style, Shadow
she'd also
Knife.
just
Make an intellect spread of up to 3 cards.
I was there.
Yeah, so I fuck the council. Fuck the police. Unnecessary.
Ooh. Oh, that's a skill spread. I see. Oh shit. Okay. Well,
It can be hard, but
If I-
remember this is an innocent.
Also, just one little
human, sorry.
fun bit of flavor. As he
Immortal.
flames out and appears back in his crucible, Ink is still screaming, and
everyone's like, ah!
the otherworldly, godly librarian
That's
just
great.
says very loudly,
I like that very much.
You and your ridiculous.
All right,
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm going
That's
after
not
this
your
guy
mentor.
that's running off to the other
She
group.
is?
So I'm going to drop
it.
10 intellect, and also
seen
I'm dropping a
them.
card
Wow.
that's going to let
Get it
my
right.
my wingmates draw a card each.
Thank
by
you.
spending this
So how does the mind trick apply? Like you to use an ability, you have to ascribe it to your ability. So what do you
Right.
do?
Let me read this really fast.
Just need to read the name of it and tell us why this mind trick is happening.
So,
She doesn't need to tell you how the mind trick's working.
Yeah.
You're dead. Dead people can't talk.
I like that. I like that.
Oh, they
So,
yeah, they could if they had sparks left, but they burned.
Yes, well.
Other than being in your head.
True story, although comedic value.
Oh, do I keep the chant affliction in my deck now?
No, it dies with
Oh,
you.
and you know what else dies with
Yep,
me?
your heroic.
Unfortunately, I no longer get to use my heroic card.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a special card from how he died last time. So he.
So in
Although you've got Bob,
Bob,
not
not
Bob, chilling, just going like, "What just happened?"
Oh, that's right. Actually, if so, well, there's no threats, but one of you should take Bob into your hand in the event
Not
that you need
it.
him. All right.
There you go.
The best
Bob runs
person.
over to you. Bob, not Bob.
Bob, not Bob.
Your beautiful man bun will go nowhere.
Thank you so much.
this person that's
I
running,
just love Phoenixes
does he
damn
just have a
much.
shard? What does he?
Yeah, he has
what,
he has a chant
he's,
shard. He's
that's
trying
what
to
that
get
is
it
what's
to the other
happening.
innocents.
Okay.
Ask for your help.
What? I'm trying to remember the word. So you were a hunter, so I'm trying to tie this in. Didn't you say in a past
She's a
life?
hunter.
Oh, you were a past life and you're a hunter. Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I was a hunter berserker.
So when you're hunting quail, for example, you scare them up, and then when they're up in the air, you shout something and everyone shoots them. What's the word they shout? It wouldn't be quail.
Pole?
Pull.
Pull.
Okay, so basically, what Fade's going to do, she sees this guy running off in the distance. She's already really stressed out. She just saw her new friend like explode, and she knows that's a normal thing, but she's not happy. It just happened.
Yeah.
So she yells, "Pull!" It's the first thing that comes to mind. You hear that, and you know that someone's getting away that we have to get
Yeah.
to. So basically, all you guys, you hear pull, and you're on alert. You know something's happening. So that's how you get an extra
Right.
card
So you
because you're
took a
getting
draw
ready for
card,
something.
and that
Yes.
is 10. Okay, so what does your ranged attack look like with your book? So
Well, she has a pen too. I don't want to take over your pen
Well,
thing.
technically, mine's a stylus. It's not a pen, per se.
Okay.
yes.
So it's more just a copper rod.
Why always kind of pictured her pen actually being more of like a quill. So maybe it's a metal quill that she can, like an
Okay.
arrow, and shoot into people's spines.
Ooh.
All right, so
Ooh.
it flies out and it like travels a mile away, or like half mile away,
Magic
and you can
feather.
see him like running, and you're like pull, and you can. And I hate to do this to you, Mac.
No, you
But
don't.
like if you're like hunting dog style, you go pull, and that goes.
What?
And,
Yeah.
but
Who's yelling stupid shit?
But on top of it, like to give Mac a little bit of credit, like Mac, you see Mac turn, and then like you can like see her like paw like dig into the dirt, and the muscles tense, and like she's
Ooh.
so basically consider yourself +10 on a grace action to run in this direction.
Jeebus.
Yes.
You hear that too, and you don't know exactly what the reference is, but you see like everyone in your wing. Well, you're busy like watching the last ashes of him turn away as you were saved. But then she's like, "You pull," and you're like, "Wait, what?" And like, is there a pull here as well? You don't know what that means. And you turn. So you've all turned. You draw your cards. You see the sound, and it kills the guy. And as he's falling down, like he sort of takes the chant shard and grabs it into his body, and he rises up as a whisperer.
Motherfucker. Well,
You thought this was over? I can't let
Thanks.
Mike's sacrifice not be somehow pitiful.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. He's like, I'm
later.
gonna burn out, and I'm like,
Right. That's so
Asshole.
cool.
Which one did this?
better not
The one
steal
running
my
away?
soul.
The one running away is so now that there are no longer any of these these chant cultists, whatever you want to call them. They're not chant cultists, but like these triggerers of the chant are all
Yes.
done. You need to think about what your death is, by the way, because you can go a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
That could be a death for duty, which could add more elemental to your deck. It could also be a death for
that's
knowledge.
How you build this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay.
I'm going to argue that it was for knowledge because I'm trying to get the shards to
Okay.
figure out the tablet or whatever.
So you'll take your
Yeah.
your 4th rank as a shrouded.
Yeah.
But I will say, because you also know that that now it didn't end the entire combat, you can also take it as a bitter death because it can count as a failure.
Let me mull on that one.
If you come back with like one sharp tooth, she will never let it go.
Oh.
Just one eyebrow.
Yeah, one hairy.
you can't even tell that I've got eyebrows anymore. It's all just fur, man.
All right, let's see here.
Okay.
That was really your whole motivation.
Okay, so
Wasn't
the
not my
Whisperer
motivation.
is going to go. The Whisperer has a speed of 2, so the Whisperer is going to go 2 phoenixes from now. You've already gone, so both of you will get an action.
Okay.
You're going to need to make that grace spread to get to it. We'll say it's grace 15, so you just need to get
Can
5
I-
grace. You can also spend
As
sparks
I
for that.
see,
Yeah.
as I see her like running to go, can I
Oh,
ready
you
my
gotta pass
action?
the
May I have
torch.
the torch?
Yes.
Okay, so she's
Okay.
going to go ahead of you. That's
Yeah,
fine.
if that's
it doesn't
okay. It's
matter.
just as I see her running, I want to take care of her. If I do a healing check in the middle of battle, am I allowed to do that instead and try to heal her, or is that
You
not
can-
an?
the only way you can heal a fellow phoenix is to pull wounds off her. But
I thought so.
you're close enough to her that you can grab wounds now. Like
Yes.
you can hand me a spark and grab as many wounds as she wants
Yeah.
to give you.
Are you able to take wounds off her and put it on the Whisperer? Is that
She-
how it works?
she-
I
puts them
can
on
only
herself
do that.
first,
I can only.
And then she has to go hit the Whisperer to pass them
But
on.
I have to hit it, and right now I don't have good enough cards to make that attack. So what I'm going to do
Interesting.
is I'm just going to burn a spark and be like, I got you, and I take off. I'm going to take off 3 of them from you.
Okay.
Is that okay? Do you want more than that?
No, I was actually going to suggest 2 because that puts you at halfway, and I've got more than.
I do
that
3
one.
because I feel like she's more valuable than me in this situation.
All right. Well, then you can take from yours. I'm
Okay,
not giving
thank you.
Mine.
Give me
These
your
are
pain.
still-
Give me
still
your
mine.
pain.
All right, so you
Great.
and so
Don't get yourself into trouble over there.
for Idalia, this is like Idalia is all gravity powered. So
Yeah.
because she's cosmic, so she's sort of like drawing it out. What does it look like for you? Like you're literally healing her with this energy, and then you're physically taking on the wounds. So how
Yeah.
does this manifest for you?
As she starts to run, I cast out again, but instead of the sun like spear, it's more like a pull energy. As you see, like this large beam from her back start to pull into me and goes into my core as I start to fall to my knees.
Okay. We'll say you flutter like a sick light.
Yeah.
I do believe in them. I do believe in the
All right, so go ahead, Mac. What's your action?
Okay. Well.
Torch to you.
You said plus 15. I don't have a lot of grace in my hand right now, so I'm going to go ahead and use a redraw.
Okay.
And pray I have another grace card. And I do.
Whew.
All right. So Whisper can go over there and time out. So, is 20 enough?
Yeah, you just need to hit 15, so and you have 10, so 5
Okay.
will do fine.
Oh, nice.
All right. So I can get over
Oh, and it's
to
an athletic check. Actually, you have it as it is.
Yeah.
So save the card
save the card.
if you want it.
I do want it because I would really like to use that campfire on the Whisperer.
All right.
Nice.
So I'm actually, like, as I turn, I'm going to run and I'm going to go buy, like, a campfire and I'm going to scoop up a couple of flaming logs to just come and drive into the Whisperer's face.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey.
So the Whisperer, like, sort of turns at you, and you can feel the Whisperer's, like, telekinetic energy, like, slowing you down. So do your best. It has a defense of 6. Do your best. You'll be fine.
Well, let's see. Let's go ahead and throw down power from Pain.
Ow!
How
Hold on.
emo.
Let me mix up my discard pile real quick here. Because I can draw a card from that, and that was.
Oh, was that the end of my action? Am I allowed to redraw?
Yeah, draw, yeah.
Oh,
Every time you
Very
pass the
bad
torch,
about
you draw
that.
it up. It's actually a brilliant system because like everything you do before your round makes it much harder for you to do something. But
Yeah.
after your round, you always are up to full after you've taken
it's
your
good to
action.
remember. I
So
think
the
I
more
forgot
you
one.
defend, the harder it is to
Attack.
attack.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna
That's,
power
which is
from
Keith Baker is absolutely brilliant, but I kind of feel like it's almost this. That feels like the kind of synergy of accident, where it's just like he's like, "What if you do this?" And then, oh yeah, now it feels like everything you have to do between your turns, like is
Yeah.
reducing
Smart.
the actions you do. Yeah. Oh, Keith Baker, I'm still just keeping the chair warm for you.
Oh, stop.
He may be here the week I'm out, so that'd be great. But who knows?
Let's see. So this card is currently 3, and then another 8, another 8, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22.
Okay.
Wow.
22 minus 6.
So that's 16, that's 5.
5. Wait, they don't have 3. They have different things. So 22 minus 6 is
16.
16. So that's going to be 4.
How are you
8,
calculating that, if you don't mind me asking?
6.
Oh, just what's on the cards and then just straight up numbers.
If you
But
get
power from
higher, do
pain-
you hurt more?
Yep.
Oh, can I? I didn't know that. So if it's okay, I'm gonna pull my. I can do this. Save your card. I can add 5 to the value of a wing make spread at any point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean higher is
So-
always.
Just go ahead and
I
put it.
didn't
Just
know
put 5
that.
more, and
Alright.
you'll take another
So-
wound off it if you do.
So yeah. So I'm just as she's
Nice.
running, I just suck in more of that energy
Wow.
and give her the strength to push past things.
Wow.
All right, so
What
you do a
number-
significant amount of damage to it.
awesome.
It goes next. It is going to telekinetically grab you. So it grabs you now, which basically means you use 1 less card in every spread. It automatically hits. There's no defense,
Yeah.
and you're going to take a wound every turn. From the, it's like
Oh,
crushing you with
bloody hell.
telekinesis. It's also going to piercing whisper you. This is an attack 10. You can't defend against it, so you're going to take a wound and a chant affliction.
Okay.
Also, the Whisperer is whispering the chant, and you can see there's a couple of like people who are like fleeing between the two groups who have become chanters. So there's a very small chant mob. And it's basically like spreading in like a loose way. It's not a combatant chant mob, but the point being that like once you get down this Whisperer, you're still gonna have to cleanse this shard because otherwise this chant will be in the world.
Yeah.
So you guys should save 25 sparks, or one
Okay.
of you should die.
All right. So that's the end of my turn then.
Pass the
Alright.
charge. Oh, sorry. That was its action. So now, yeah, new round. So who wants it?
Should I team effort? Should I go and try and attack the thing that's attacking you?
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
we have to take
I'll do
down the
that.
Whisperer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to zip over to you.
You need to become hidden first to cross off the
I
tent.
already was.
Oh,
I already was hidden. I was. I hid from the last round, so I think that's why I didn't take damage or anything.
Yeah, we need to do that. We need to get the.
oh, you no,
shard.
you weren't hidden because you attacked. So go
Oh,
ahead
the
and-
range. That's
yeah.
right.
So cross off the tent, and we'll just you don't need to take an action to do it. So go ahead.
Oh,
and-
okay.
So draw a
I-
card from the tent. You jump.
I-
You dive into a tent and appear next to her,
Excellent. Great.
and draw a card from there. So go ahead and
the
make it.
shard nearby.
The shard is like in the Whisperer's chest.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have to take down the whisper to get to the shard this time.
Okay, so I've.
Although I'm thinking some like Kali Ma type of actions, like
Yeah,
Kali
right.
Ma, Kali Ma.
You can definitely pull it out of his chest if you want to. It'll do damage.
Oh yeah.
He's dead. You don't come back from the chat.
So
I don't care if he's alive. I'm gonna pull the fucking shirt out. I'm the worst.
You're the best at being the worst.
Yes. You are the best worst.
So I've zipped over to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use my melee attack.
So +3.
I'm also hidden, so the damage will be brutal.
My favorite kind.
Yep. What happens next? What do I need to put down? Which of these?
Your attack spread is 3 intellect cards from Shadow Knife.
Yeah, and if you have any trait cards, now is a very good time to use them.
What's the trait card again?
The trait card will have text on it.
Oh, it's one. Oh yeah. I have a couple of those for sure.
And remember, you can stack those. You can use more than one trait to go.
Great.
Because I do that all the time.
Yes.
So I'm rolling.
There's a lot of brutal, like, flaming, annoying, painful, shitty damage.
So I'm going to use hidden motion. So when I attack and I'm hidden, I'm going to remain hidden. I'm also going to drop my 2 intellect cards for this
Nice.
attack.
You can put one more down, because if you have an intellect card, you can put it down.
I can put another intellect card down.
Because it's a spread of 3, and that hidden motion doesn't count towards it, because it's a trait.
Oh, so I can also use a grace card in
Yeah.
place of an intellect. So I'll just add an additional.
2. Okay, so it is 6, 7, 8, 9, plus 3, 10, 11, 12.
Plus whatever brutal damage makes.
Brutal means it's how the wounds are. That is definitely not worth discussing on your one guest visit. So -6, that's 1
It's
wound.
good.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
good.
helpful.
Okay,
so
good.
We'll
Good.
explain it later.
It's because maths.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it has
helps.
it has only 1 wound left. I'm sure Matt can put it over.
Yeah, except that
I'm going
it's
to,
your turn.
I'm going to.
So you should actually try and nail it with some wounds.
I'm going to try. I don't know if I'm strong enough, but I'm definitely going to attempt
Go
this.
big.
Do it.
I can use two intellect cards for my attack. So I try
All you need to do is break. You can get higher than 6.
higher than 6.
Yeah,
You
6
can
or higher
probably
will
use
break its damage, and then you
this.
can use the sparks to put the wounds on,
But
and
I
they'll
could
take
do
care of them.
I could do that, but I could. It's just asking a question, and I don't know.
Yeah, but you can. That's the main thing of it. If you can find a way to justify using that, like
Yeah.
you figured out the sweet soft spot to hit it with.
I see. If I hit 6, do I not succeed?
You just need to get
Above, right?
6 or above. It's fine. You just need,
Okay.
yeah, so
Then
you're-
I'm gonna use this. My intellect card gives me. I can burn a spark and discard. Well, it says I can burn and discard.
Yeah.
And what does it do?
So it's brilliant deduction.
And then
So like if you
since
wanted
it is
to
the end of your
say
turn,
I'm
make sure you're
finding
drawn back up
the
to
soft
6.
spot of it, I've looked at it, I've studied
Yeah.
it, I know where I'm hitting it the hardest.
What I think I want to do
Mm-hmm.
is, I think I'm gonna play these 2, and then I'll burn a spark to
Mm-hmm.
play this card.
Okay.
And what I'm going to ask is, because I can ask any question about the situation, I want to know how we can get rid of the activated shard, perhaps in a different way that doesn't involve death. If I know of this.
All right. You.
And you can keep this.
It's a sort of-
It's a
yeah.
You can
lofty
keep this
question.
there as a part of your
Yeah.
attack here.
Yeah.
Sort
Oh,
of
I can
up
add it
with
there?
people
Okay,
style.
cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So first off, if you burn the spark to pass pain, you'll kill this thing. So you should do that.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
need
because I
to-
succeeded that.
Yeah. So you
So
need to
I can
burn 1 spark
transfer-
for each wound you want to give it, up to half your level. So
Oh,
2.
so I can. So I
give me
need
2
to
more
burn.
sparks.
But it says that each wound inflicts 3 brutal damage.
You only really need 1, but you
So
should get
it's
the
1.
wounds off yourself.
Yeah. So
It's up to
Oh.
you.
I would go ahead and burn 2
So it's
sparks.
Okay, so
Overkill,
I
but
burned
you'd be
2,
helping
so I help
yourself.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so take 2 wounds
That's
off,
cool.
which you
Thank
give to
you.
him, which kills him. You
I'm gonna kill you, mother.
you appreciate that, like, because of the rare synergy of being 2 wings, that if all of you go down half sparks, like if you take whatever the sparks you have now and reduce it in half, it will count as a dead phoenix, and you'll be able to flame out the shard together.
So as I see him fall to the ground and I see the shard
Yeah.
drop, I just run up to the 2 of you guys because you're both within melee. Well, you were in range, but I run up
I don't think
and
I was
No,
close.
she
I was close.
closed to melee.
I just go and I just say, combined efforts here. We can preserve.
Let's
can
make an
preserve.
alligator.
Yes.
All right, grab it and give me half.
All right.
Not that it's relevant because the game is pretty much over, but still. All right, so you all burn off half. And
Yeah.
you and the shard goes dead, and all the few chanters that are running away drop. And just for fun, the pot-bellied leader of the Imperial Guard is looking at you from far, and goes.
Amazing.
So long story short, you put the chant down, and you stop this sort of insidious group from dragging the chant there. Actually, there's Bob, not Bob.
He's okay, right?
No, he died.
What?
Bob, not Bob, was killed in the fray. You didn't realize it had happened at first, but don't worry about Bob,
Single
not
tear.
Bob,
Single
because
tear.
Bob, not Bob is at the Crucible. His brother is at the Imperial Flame when he gets back. Bob is a phoenix.
Also, speaking
What?
of crucibles, if I can just add something real
Yeah.
quick.
His top knot gets bigger every time he
He's just like bam.
As Ink chills out in his crucible and he's trying to just figure out what's going on, the weird librarian kind of presence that is darting in and out of his vision, he starts to follow, and he comes to this desk with an oil lamp on it, and there's a book that says, in Pyrean, the chant on it. So he sits down at the book and he opens it up, and it's blank. And there's a quill and an inkwell there, and so Ink starts to write down everything that they know about the chant so far, including Bob, not Bob's map, etc., etc.
So
Yes.
Bob is a Shrouded Phoenix who is going to join another wing. What is Bob's cog? What is Bob's Phoenix name? And it has to reflect his Shrouded or sort of investigation endeavors. However, in a strange twist of fate, or not so much strange, but in sort of a tribute of fate, Bob's unusual sort of manifestation is that he is basically like a strange love story to the four of you and to the rest of your wing.
Like a super scroll?
Yeah, each one of his incarnations, each death, he comes back looking like in like a tribute version of one of you. So he's Ink on his first death. He comes back out as
Oh my
looking
god,
just
that's
like Ink.
so cute.
And between the
Yeah,
six
there's two of us now.
yeah, there's
No.
there's between the 6 incarnations of your wing and the 2 of you, he has enough to get all the way through his incarnations as basically this sort of living fanboy.
That is so cute.
And I'm not gonna look in the chat for this one. Sean, you go ahead and find your favorite cog for Bob, not Bob's Phoenix incarnation, and put it in the machine for me. So what? We'll give you your scene so you guys get back. By the way,
Yeah.
as a result of your combining efforts to burn out the Phoenix Shard together, you actually bind the 2 of them permanently into like a reflection of your wing. So you 2 are now permanently like wing cousins to these 6. You don't know why it happened, nor does Ember or anyone else, but you can still feel them through your like wing bond and you them. Of course, your wingmates are super interested in like what happened and when you get back.
Were they good kissers? Sorry.
They put up a fight. I hate that one.
Ah, it's the worst.
Tell me more.
The Chan outbreak in the city is put down, although the city is almost destroyed in the process, but better than it has been in the past. Like the city is not left for dead. They're able to actually fight it back. A third of the population survives. The credit largely goes to your wing, not just in general for like helping to show what the chant actually is, but because Eerie and Kelvin and Beans and Idalia are so instrumental in the defense of the wing. Although sadly, Eerie drops at the last second, so he also comes to his crucible with you. So you'll all be rank 4s starting at next week.
Cool.
Or whenever the 4 of you are back together again.
next
But
week.
yeah, but your wing is very happy to like sort of see the 2 of you back, and they're telling you all the stories of the things that they did, and then there's that moment, like that sort of like high school movie moment where like your Durance like. You were hanging out with her. I hear she's a monster, and you guys are like, "You leave her alone."
She's up, Brandon. She's crazy.
And you're like, "Oh, sad."
And I was just like, I heard she's a monster, and I was like, yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
The best kind of monster. And Farrell is there, like high-fiving someone because she was also involved in the battle and everything else.
That's so
So it goes really well. But so when Ink comes back, what does your rank 4 incarnation look like?
It's mostly the cloak. Like there's some like illumination coming from the hood that kind of indicates eyes, and his voice has a very weird quality, and when he talks, it's like you can hear all these different voices whispering like underneath it. Not like the chant, but it's just like...
Why don't you do the voice?
Because I can't do that.
No, I'm doing.
He needs stereo separation.
Yeah.
I was going to do the additional voices.
Yeah, we can do that. We can help you.
I'm very glad to be back from my crucible now. I can see the words that bind us all together now. It's more
You
clearly.
guys have to come back just to do
Yeah.
this. Like every game, you have to just be here sitting behind me
Yeah.
doing this.
Sadly, not Bob's Phoenix Kaga's man bun.
Oh, cute.
It's apt.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
If it makes
So-
you happy, it's
It couldn't be whiskers? What's wrong with whiskers?
He's not cat-like. Although I was gonna say, I didn't figure out exactly how to like make it work, but I think that I basically panicked and went in the wrong direction. I think your Forceful, your like high speed, sort of powerful Phoenix is weirdly also woven. It's like a different like your wings. Forceful incarnation is another werewolf, but like in a different sort of like speedway, like where cheetah or something. And so he was like, so like, is she cool? Like, I'm just saying. Like, does she have a tail? So,
We're not talking about that.
go ahead and pick one of these. We'll go ahead. We'll rank you up now. So why don't you tell the chat
All right.
why you're doing the thing?
So chat, I have two options presented to me right now. I've got heightened awareness. When you make a skill spread associated with observation, add 5 to the total. At the start of any combat, draw 3 cards. Or walking in dusk. You can see perfectly in any level of darkness. While you are hidden, you cannot be hurt by any attack, and you can burn 3 sparks to pass through a door or a wall, or to escape any sort of bonds. Now, oh, those are both really good. I'm almost tempted to go with walking in dusk, though, because I like the idea of kind of being
Being
able
vulnerable.
to just phase in and out of reality. Because
It matches nicely with your character.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
practical applications, but the other one is also very practical.
Yeah,
It,
because
it might not work as well with the character concept, though.
Right.
well, but I mean, if he's just trying to pay attention to things and
He's knowledge based, so he
Yeah.
can share his knowledge.
Well, he's fading in
makes
and out
sense.
now.
I'm gonna go for heightened awareness.
All right.
So
Very nice.
add 5 to observation and then draw 3 cards at the start of combat.
Excellent.
Do you
That's
want
really helpful.
brace or
Yeah.
intellect?
Intellect.
All right, there you go. All right, so that's leveling up. So in this game, every time you die, you learn the lesson of the death you had, and so you come back more powerful, but based on the choices that you made and the crucible that you had. So somewhere in the days, weeks, hours that Ink was in his crucible, he learned the lessons that allowed him to have the powers that he has today. This is Phoenix Dawn Command. It is a very
Freaking
innocent
awesome.
game. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
fun, isn't it?
So much
And,
fun. Woo!
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, you were both awesome.
That was so much fun.
was a great time.
I do imagine Varia comes and meets him.
Oh yeah, we
Oh
should
yeah,
have
let's
a
have that
moment.
scene.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So, Ink, how long is your crucible? Are you back that day, or I mean, no matter how long a crucible is for you, you're back in a few days. But like, yeah, no matter what, you're going to be there ahead of her. So you're in your private chamber.
I think that I've probably been in my crucible for about a month, though, because I write down everything I know about the chant, and then I start cross-referencing mythology from other realities to see if there's some sort of overlapping kind of narrative that I can hopefully use to battle the dread in our reality.
So you come back though, still
Including
like a
but
few days
not
later.
limited to watching Ghostbusters.
Nice.
Or rather reading the novelized version of
Right.
Ghostbusters that you could get in school book orders in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those books took so long to get there. Scholastic, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Just
right?
Put it on a truck, damn it. So you are born out of the flame again. You're mostly a cloak. Eerie is there. Who knows what's going on with Eerie? Eerie is just a giant hair mop of fear. The two of you sort of have a moment together, and then he goes off to his quarters and you do yours. 2 weeks later or a week later, after all three of you escort them all the way to town, and you can't fire back. You can only go one way, so you have to take a Windiri boat all the way back. You like knock, and you're on his door. So what happens?
Naka, naka, naka.
Well, there's definitely less of you this time.
I'm here as much as I have been.
Ben.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So it's always different voices too. So
I don't want to talk, but I figured you probably did.
I do feel bad for things that I said that led you to the path that you were on now, but I feel
It wasn't you. It was me, and it's what I am. And what I am is a monster. And I have to lean into that. Atla's gone. What I was, what I am are two different things now. And I just have to lean into that. That's all I have left. And it was going to happen eventually. I was treating it as something else. But it's me. And that's the unfortunate fact of the matter. And it will be me until I die again. And die, and then am gone. Hopefully.
I know now that I have nothing to worry about with you.
I wouldn't be so sure of that.
Trust me. I've seen what's coming.
I know you like to think you know a lot of things. You don't know everything.
You're right. There's still so much you can teach me. Only not in a weird way. Wait.
You know
You know that this is only getting creepier with the fact you don't have much of a face left.
And then there's a weird little bit of illumination that looks like a smile.
And then you realize it's just me down the hallway. Blessings upon you,
Exactly.
dawn upon you.
What I meant to say was there's still a lot we have to learn from each other in the time that we have left, and all I hope is that I have not lost the opportunity to learn from you.
Trust me, there's nothing you want to learn from me. I am what I am. I'm going to be it, and then I'm going to go away. And I'm going to take as much of the dread as I can with me. I might be part of the dread. I don't know. But that's all that I have to go on. That's all that's left. So, that's going to have to be enough.
You hear a slight giggle on the side, and Faye pops in. She's been standing there the whole time, and she's like, "You guys are so dramatic."
And then
I love it.
snap her neck.
All right.
She dodges it. She
bitter
dodges
death.
it. She's real fast.
That's okay
Very fine.
because she's, you know, at the Imperial
Right.
Flame, so
Yeah,
it's just like, bam.
He's really easy.
Yeah.
You can come back and be like, whoa, you.
You just you see a long sigh.
Yeah.
Guys.
Okay, all right, now let's make this super saturated. So, Dream Shadow is writing on a piece of parchment that is kind of...
I'm going to go sweet now.
No, hold on. That is rolled up, and then Ink hands it to her and says, "Not now. Read this at some point."
The way things are going, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to read anymore. You realize that? Maybe like it old paper at this point. But whatever. I take it anyway and tuck it away.
There you go.
I'll help you read it later.
And then you head out. Written by Joss
God,
Whedon.
I just want to die.
Executive producer Joss Whedon. And, all right, great job, everybody. This is Phoenix Dawn Command. These people will be living and dying for you next week at this time. We'll have the whole regular crew back. We finally caught up with Kelvin, so you might see more of your elemental.
So he can die twice again and be ahead of us.
Twice in
But
one.
that's okay, because then we'll just get another elemental.
Reminder, if you are a Patreon backer, you can participate in building their rival wing, which we haven't done yet. We're going to have a Patreon backers only chat stream in which Keith Baker, the creator of the game himself, talks us through building an entire wing of 6 Phoenixes. And you'll name them, and you'll build the worlds around them. I can guarantee you from
You'll
everyone
love
that
them,
we've
you'll
ever
have to
played
cry.
with this game, it is here's some rubber bands, folks.
Oh, hey, that's what those are
Just
for.
$1.50. If you this game, character creation is half the fun. You get to create a cool epic death for yourself. How do you look? What's going on? And you can be part of that for the 6 Phoenixes that are in the wing. Of course, you can also be part of the story by contributing their various flares between now and their 7th rank when they all retire/die. And we'd love to have you on all the rest of the Saving Throw shows. Saving Throw has shows. We have 7 shows and 5 nights. No, we have well more than that now. We have lots of shows on lots of nights. On Monday, we have... Is Monday first to check this month or not? or this? Do we know? Or the horror movie one? Sean
The-
Graham.
I'm sorry.
Like Spookaganza?
Finding something in chat.
It's
What's that?
it's Spookaganza, I think, this Monday.
Oh, yeah, it
No,
is.
and,
With
and it's
Megan
Rotaran. It's the Lands of Rothar.
Oh yeah. Rotating on I think Tuesday they last week it was Tuesday they did the Spookathon. Maybe it's Monday.
Because it's
One
the
of those
same
two
time
days
as,
is a Spookathon.
Is it the same time as Knick Knack on Every Corpse?
Yes.
Okay, so that's
So that's
Tuesdays.
That's Tuesday.
We don't know. That show occurs sometime in the first 2 days of the week. Rotharan, which is the wonderful system designed by Wes, which you can still kickstart today. And we're playing it again on Monday. Who's the DM on Monday? Do we know?
I think it's Wes, isn't it?
Is it Wes? Wes
Yeah,
finally
Wes
DMing his own
finally-
system?
Yeah.
Always awesome to see a DM run the system they created. That's on Monday. Wednesday is the show formerly known as Barky's Brigade, which I don't know if the title was ever determined.
I'm pitching Wednesday night one shot, but Dom didn't seem super stoked about that.
It happens.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, Tom Lommel, the great dungeon bastard himself, will tell you about disorganized play. He teaches you about how he's planning for his organized play games, which are at, he does like a lot, he does a show, not a show, he is a dungeon master for Adventurers League. He's going to tell you all about that. Thursdays, I think there's one of those. Fridays is, this week, it is Black Bag, which is our modern era Call of Cthulhu game. And then Saturdays, of course, is this show. But before that is our Dark Sun campaign, which is fantastic and run by Mr. Sean Graham.
And I'm playing it next weekend.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
I still want to go to there.
Yes.
Yeah. There will be.
There's opportunities.
Yeah. There
That
will be chances.
show is fantastic. Highly recommend that. And then coming soon, all kinds of other cool shows on this channel. We love to game for you, and also tutorials on how to play various games still coming up. We're going to do the thing where it's called plugs or recommendations. So, Michael Holmes, plugs, recommendations?
Always the worst at this.
Someone else? No.
Yeah.
All I can say is I'm going home after this to hopefully have Netflix be back up and running so I can watch Luke Cage.
Oh Jesus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it was dead this morning. It was not working. So
I saw 5
I'm sure
episodes.
it'll be awesome. So go
Yeah.
watch it, but not tonight because stop binding up the servers.
Oh, I know what I'm going to say now.
Go.
Some of us at Saving Throw have a team for Extra Life this year, and we're going to start kind of more aggressively pitching that on social media. So make sure you follow me. Sax is going to be part of it. Sean, are you part of it?
I'm not good at the internet.
Okay.
He's also out of town for our extra live stream because he is
I'm
at
at
BlizzCon.
Oh, good.
Yes.
With Jordan and
Yeah.
the
Kellerman Caves,
Kellerman
Caves
Caves
Kellermans.
are going to be part of it. Amy Vorpal is going to be part of it.
wow.
We have some great guests too.
Yeah.
One half of the Birds of Play. is
Yeah,
gonna be
we're going to
here.
have Deadlands. We're going to have Phoenix Dawn Command. We're going to have Shadow of the Demon Lord,
That's
which
what
I'm
I'm
running.
excited about.
Yeah. So
We're
yeah, there will be more information in the coming weeks because it's the first weekend in November. So that's my pitch.
Got a whole month to plan.
Yeah.
Kids?
Hey, I'm probably going to go home and actually live stream myself, play a little World of Warcraft. So if you'd like to go to Twitch, I hear a gasp from the corner of the room. Twitch.com/, is that how it works? Kate is online. Please come and follow me. I'm pretty new, and I'll probably play later today.
And who doesn't want to hear that soothing voice the whole time?
Be
I
a
try to
dedicator.
focus, yeah.
The dulcet
yeah, come
tones.
Yes.
join and be a dedicator.
I watch hours of Yogg's cast, so like
yeah.
I just
It's pretty
good.
surround myself with British
Um,
accents.
in
constantly.
the long-standing canon of Cater's stuff, there are some great. Just look for her on YouTube. There's so many cool videos. I think your Hunger Games parodies are my favorite.
That's my favorite of all.
because
Oh.
the guy you had on it didn't know what the Hunger Games was, and so his improvisations
great.
make little sense. It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, he was
so
great.
fun.
He was the actor that's in the new School of Rock TV show. He is he plays Peter in my video, and he's so good. He had no idea what the Hunger Games was. Everything was improv. It was so hard not to laugh. It was
Yeah.
amazing. It's so great.
Really worth it. Cater's absolutely my favorite internet creator. Okay.
Oh,
thanks, Kelly.
great.
Sure, follow me, Kaylin Rock, KLYNNEROCK on Instagram, and then Kaylin Rock spelled differently, like Kaylin M. Nell from Legend of the Seeker, Sword of Truth, Carrie Goodkin series, because I am channeling her, Mother Confessor constantly, because I suck the life out of men. What else?
Go
no. I make fun YouTube shorts. You can follow those. I make like parodies and stuff. It's all online, all on my Twitter, all on my Instagram. So
Well worth your time. I have a show on Geek and Sundry starting on this Thursday coming up called Dick and Johnson, which is in the incredible All in a Bubblegum RPG universe. It's just an hour-long show, but it precedes Critical Role, so you'll be watching anyway, just for that brief instant of Matt Mercer before anybody else. And it's great. It's a game where two rednecks like fight for the good of the universe. And Hector and Keller are fantastic, and it is really, really worth it. I don't have to do very much at all. I just kind of like start the game, and then I sit there while they riff for a full hour and chew gum. So yeah, that's a great thing. It's on Geek and Sundry, and then you can always find my stuff at Sax Carr. I just gave Erica Ishii, the Twitch streamer, a stamp of her own face so she can put it on stuff. I recommend that. Yeah, that's it. So we've got all kinds of great stuff for you here on Saving Throw Show. Keep gaming, keep enjoying, keep watching. And Sean doesn't know how to turn the stream off, so
No, I wasn't
also
planning on it.
let's see, what's a good topic of conversation? Let's see. Bringing self-determination to the Moldavian people, and go.
Oh yes, the Moldavians, self-determination. General Mumble. General Mumble.
Things, yes, but politics and the.
Where's the paper? Where's the